Welcome to the 57th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we are bringing you the second half of our summer 2018 season first impressions based on the first few weeks of shows. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we will be spoiling everything. My name is Leo, and I'm grand blue dreaming of my happy sugar life in the haunted hot springs on a planet with music girls who rent Tsukumogami from the workshop of fun on Chio's school road where cells at work receive starlight reviews from the master of Ragnarok and the angels of death before my hero attacks Titan with a badminton racket. I've now said my legal required number of words for this episode, so I'll leave the rest to my co-host, Bcom and Kat.
Oh, that was a sick burn.
Good job, Leo. That was smooth. That was
really good. That was really good.
Yes. So many words.
I had so much fun writing that.
I could tell as soon as I opened the doc and read it for the first time. I was like, he grinned imagine, the entire time.
Yeah, he had that like smirk on his face, and he's like lifting his hands up with a flourish as he types it. He's like.
Yeah, if you were wondering which shows we're covering, this podcast in particular, every single one of them is in that line Leo just read. In some form.
Yes, in some form. Okay. But we got a big-ass review this time around. This one's pretty nice.
Big, sexy iTunes review.
In fact... Yeah, go for
it. It's too big for just one sexy voice. And for the first time ever, I think all three of us are going to have to be sexy to make this review worthwhile. So, yeah, whenever you want to start, Leo, tell us who this is from.
So this one is titled, Excited to Have Found This Podcast. It's from Kali from Canada, which is kind of cool. So, started with episode 47 and 52 and loved them both for different reasons. I think it's very commendable how through you all are. Everything... Bleh. Okay, I did it. I was great earlier. That I just on top of being so insightful and entertaining, a standout moment for me was your review of the new Legend of Galactic Heroes in episode 52. So great.
You guys provide such compelling perspectives. I'm not too sure how much detail I should explain my enjoyment of particular points in each podcast so as not to ramble, but the discussion and commentary you guys had about the Iserlorn Fortress episode and the political state of affairs involving it was very thoughtful and refreshing in its fullness. I listen to 2 other anime podcasts, and they are great as well, but tend not to expound on certain themes as well as y'all do.
Again, I'm really impressed by the thoroughness and balanced nature of your perspectives, dialogue, etc. Considering this podcast isn't super huge yet, I feel like a spoiled child when I look at how many more hours of this podcast there is to consume. Smiley face. Right. Thanks for getting together and creating such an awesome experience, guys. Heart. Thank you, Kali.
Is that heart or smooch?
That's heart.
Okay.
That was amazing, Bcom. Bcom has a good, sexy voice. This is what we learned today.
I don't get to use it very often. It's really depressing.
Okay.
All right. So we should jump in. We got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shows. That's just how it divided up. And I would say most of the good shows of this season air from Friday to Sunday. So we're in for a good podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Most of them. I don't know. But yeah, let's kick it off with Fridays and Chio's School Road.
So this is a pretty basic just gag show. Chio is a very imaginative girl, and she gets into all kinds of like hilariously weird situations on her way to school. She has a best friend named Manana, and she's just as bad. And Chio has this habit of staying up all night and playing video games, so she's like always fatigued the next day, which is probably helping with her delusions. One of the best parts so far, I thought, was in the second episode when Manana tries to become more popular and leave Chio behind by talking with like a girl named Yuki who's like popular and everything. And the thing is, Yuki's like taking it upon herself to just be friendly to Chio, and that cracked me up. She's like, "Just leaving you behind, I used you," and Chio's like, "You wouldn't."
But I did.
I mean, it's definitely a funny show, but as far as the discussion topic, I'm not sure we can get into it too much.
I don't know.
It's definitely a fun watch.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's more action than anything else, but I think we could find things to talk about. Like, I love all the shit that Chio gets into because at the beginning, she talks about how she's doing all this wacko stuff because, like, she wants to make a good first impression at school. But then every fucking time she does it, she ends up making, like, a worse and worse impression for herself. Like, in the first episode, she's everyone basically thinks she's a prostitute. Although I don't know if they figured out if it's her yet. But, like, I feel like that's going to come back to bite her. Like, someone's going to recognize it. Like, that teacher. And he's going to be like, I need to help this poor soul. But I also don't understand some of the weird, like, comedy that this show gets into. Like, was it the first episode where the guy in the suit who is just ridiculously, almost comically evil to that, like, also ridiculously bouncy boobed girl. Like, I deemed
mom,
her,
like,
Opie mom, basically, because she just...
Opie mom, yeah, for sure.
Like, what was that even for? I don't know. Like...
Well, she just had a
kid.
She's
weird.
Breastfeeding. I don't know. Her boobs would be bigger.
Well, I mean, but that's not why they put that scene. I mean, I hope they didn't put that entire scene in there just so they could be like, look, it's Opie mom. Look at her glory. I don't know. Like,
I think part of it is definitely that.
I do also like the social awkwardness in this anime, like you were talking about earlier, Leo. Like, and they also have scenes where it'll be something like, oh, is this person waving at me? I don't know if they are or not, so I'll just fall into the garbage to, like, not have to choose.
Yeah, that's like
as an introverted person, I really appreciated that scene where she's like, she must be waving at the person behind me. How do I get out of this situation without an awkward interaction? And she's like, the only way is to dive headfirst into this garbage pile.
I actually like the part better where she's, like, waiting in the gas station and she's like, I need to wait until she leaves because I've totally done that before. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow, that's amazing, Kat. I can't believe you had to do that.
Well, I mean, things happen. Yeah. My favorite scene so far, though, is probably the motorcycle scene where Chio owns this dude by the end of this scene. Like, she backs this dude down. Like, she knocks him out on accident after he's upset that she, like, nervous laughed at him, which I totally... like related to, because I do that when I'm really nervous or really upset about something. Sometimes I'll, like, laugh but I don't really mean to laugh.
Yeah, it's just like one way to, like, get out of that, like, weird situation. Yeah.
And so she, like, accidentally knocks him out, pushes over his bike kind of on accident, and then she just sits on his bike and is like, I've seen some shit.
She went to move it. And I immediately knew she was going to drop that. I'm like, that bike was probably 600 pounds, roughly.
Exactly.
So
see, Leo, I knew you would love this part.
So as soon as it got off center, there's no way her little frame was holding that bike. It was going down.
I was thinking of your complaints about, like, Kino's journey when she was like, you're like, she can't take that bike up those stairs into this hotel. Like, how did she get that bike in here? I was like,
there was just
Leo's
one point,
gonna love this scene.
In the other show where she's walking uphill on, like, even just flat concrete. I'm like, you're pushing a couple 100 pounds. I mean, it's just no.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Then she sits on the bike and she just, like, reams him with this ridiculous speech. She's like, I've seen some shit. And then he's just like, oh, I love you forever. Let me drive you to school. And I also can't believe she got away with just keeping the helmet on. And, like, no one found out it was her. What the hell?
Well,
Bloody butterfly.
I don't think it mattered if it was her or not. They were just, like, impressed.
And then also,
fake it till you make it.
I don't know how I feel about that weird scene where they, like, kiss each other, kind of. Like, yeah. I'm like, is this supposed to be
where they're eavesdropping?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. I don't really know how I feel about that. But we'll see. But it's entertaining. It's good.
I will say my favorite joke was at the beginning of episode 2 when she's talking about, like, how she spent all night gaming against, like, some foreigners playing, like, a shooter, and, like, some foreign player, like, messages her and she's like, I know how to respond to this, and she takes out, like, her phone and Google translates how to call him a cunt.
No, he called her a cunt.
No, yeah, he called her a cunt.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I thought it was her, like, translating,
and then she got all fired up, and that's why she stayed up all night gaming.
Oh, okay. I totally misread that. I thought she was, like, translating how to call him one.
No, she was translating what he called her to see what it meant.
Yeah, that would have been funny too, though.
Either way, it's really funny. I was just like, oh yeah, this is online shooters. This is exactly how they are. But yeah, I like this show. It's really funny. I'm definitely gonna keep watching it because it's just like a good like relax and like see how things go kind of like comedy, and it's very absurd. But I don't know. As far as comedies go this season, I kind of like Asobi Asobase a little bit more. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah.
Next one.
All right. Yeah, Angels of Death on Crunchyroll. Which is based on a game, and you can really tell it is. Like I think we said in our like preview episode when we talked with Mandy about this, it's based on an RPG Maker game, and it really shows in like the anime adaptation. Like,
oh yeah,
like Rachel, the main character, is this little like blonde lolly girl who's like very monotone, and she's the main character in the game. Like if you've ever played it, and like. Basically, she is trapped in this weird warehouse that has like a bunch of different floors. I don't even know if it's a warehouse. It's like a big building.
Floors and levels, basically, in a game. Each with their own unique boss. It's so gamey.
yeah. And then there's this character, Isaac or Zach, who is like this crazy dude who's really dumb. And he's trying to like get out of this building as well. But like he can't do it on his own because he's just too stupid to solve the puzzles.
He is really stupid.
And at first, like...
I agree. Yeah. Like at one point, doesn't he just stand in front of a door and he like just keeps hitting it repeatedly, and like she just walks down and like pushes a button and opens it. And it's like, what the fuck?
Exactly. Like so, he's hopeless without her. And so like at first he's trying to kill her, but then she makes a deal with him that like she'll help him get out of this place, and in return, she wants him to kill her once they've escaped. Because like she remembers some things about her past that she like thinks like she has to die to atone for, I assume.
I don't know if it's to atone. I kind of forgot. I don't really know if it's to atone or if it's just because like she can't handle it. Like
no, she had some like flashback or memory that we don't get to see, and then she's like, I have to die, and you're like, okay. You just have to accept it.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Bcom. It is very obviously a video game. Like to a point where there are a lot of anime based on video games, but like this was almost a little comical at points. Like there's this one scene where like that scythe guy is smashing graves, and it's very obviously like that in the game this was a special like mini game or something, because just the tone,
you found a pickaxe too.
And the way they like shift like tones and the music changes, like it's very obvious like that was some special event in the game or something.
Yeah, and then the literal switch on the floor that opens a door. Come on, that's such a video game thing.
You can tell that like she is controlling his character as like a secondary character, because there's a point where she's like, you need to go in the water and stand on this lever, and he like gets in the water and does it, and then it like opens a door and she has to go off, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'd say one of the other things I really complain about is probably Rachel's personality. She's just so deadpan and like dead in her eyes, and like she's not emotional now. I think she was a better character when she was emotional.
Yeah, but it's also weird how she shifts like that. Like she'll go from these points where she does have some emotion, and then for a while she'll be like, I am a dead doll and nothing in the world matters to me. Oh.
Exactly.
And she goes back and forth between, and I do think that they do it on purpose. Like it's supposed to, this whole show is either some sort of religious allegory or like some sort of psychological drama. Like in my theory is it's either like a dream that she is having, or it's some sort of religious allegory thing, like of hell, right?
Makes sense.
And they don't want to give you too much information, and so they want her to be as deadpan as possible so that they're not giving you too many clues. But it's not fun to be around a character all the time that's just like dead-eyed doll girl, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree with the hell allegory thing you said, because like it could be just like Dante's Inferno, like descending through the floors is like descending through the different layers of hell. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it could totally be that. But I don't think this is as smart as Dante's Inferno. Well, like it's a show.
What do you think that the two pupils and the one eye like represent something, or do you think that's just some weird shit that someone came up with in their head?
If I thought harder about it, it probably would represent something. I don't know. That's a good question, actually. But I agree with Leo about the personality, because like when you have somebody who has like a really like dull personality, you need like another lead character to kind of like carry everything. And Zach, as crazy and weird as he is, doesn't really carry the show charismatically. Like say in another show, which we're not really talking about because it's a Netflix show and it doesn't have good subs, but High Score Girl is out this season. And the main girl in that show never talks ever. And yet I love her so much. Like she's fantastic. Like she's a great character. But like it's also because like the guy who is always playing games with her carries it.
You heard it here, folks. Yeah. What Bcom really wants is a girl that never opens her mouth.
And beats you.
Beats me at video games constantly. Yes. Makes me feel inadequate at video games. That's what I really need.
Oh God. How about you serve us the next show, Bcom?
Okay, you have nothing else to say about this one before we move on? Just
boring.
Making sure.
Well, okay, I'll say I might watch it for a little bit longer just because I know I'll never play the game, but it's nothing good, like nothing that we want to cover for sure. So
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, sorry for ruining your fantastic transition, Leo. I'm really sorry. But the next show served up is Harukana Receive, which is a beach volleyball anime from Studio C2C, which I finally found out means challenge to challenge, which is kind of like a cool name for an anime studio. It's like, we're moving from challenge to challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's directed by like the guy Toshiyuki Kobooka, who directed like the Berserk Golden Age arc movies. So like a pretty decent director. But yeah, this is just like a light, fun show about girls playing beach volleyball. Like basically this one girl's cousin like comes to like stay with her for like a year or something, go to her school, and like she like picks up playing beach volleyball. Like the first day they get there, like they go see the beach, and then they see like a volleyball court on the beach, and then she gets really interested in it because like this cousin's like former volleyball partner and that girl's new partner are like playing, and so they play like a match and they get like destroyed by these really good volleyball players. But then
where they were like the national champions too. So.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah. But like, yeah, like the main girl, like who's like the cousin who's coming to this town and gets like really excited about it. And she kind of reignites that spark in her cousin who kind of lost it as well. But that's about as serious as the show gets. Like for the most part, it's like equal parts, like showing you like how you play beach volleyball, like the strategy of it and the mechanics of it, and like learning that and teaching it.
Yeah.
And then equal parts, like these girls are really friggin' cute and they're in bikinis.
And
it's
they
really
snap
cute.
them sometimes. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did like the little eccentricities that they were showing you of like beach volleyball and what makes it so difficult, like having to jump on the sand. And they have scenes where like the really tall girl, what's her name?
Haruka.
She's like, I'm really good at jumping. I've got this. And like she finds out quickly that it doesn't work that way because she's jumping on sand. And then they talk about how the wind blows unpredictably and affects the game. And it's interesting. There was also a part where they're like, oh, all these people in beach volleyball, like they have to wear these super tight swimsuits because otherwise like your boobs could come out or something. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, they explained it that sand kind of gets in everywhere
well,
unless it's basically a tight seal.
Yeah, and I was just like, well.
And then there's like one time where, well, one of the other girls is watching Haruka practice, I think, and she's like doing her jump practicing, and the girl's like, every time you jump, I'm getting like a full like image of down there, and she's like, no. So they like go buy like a new like bathing suit to like that has more coverage, basically. So it's funny. I like how they work the fan service into the show in a way that doesn't feel unnatural most of the time. Like, there's a couple times when it's like, okay, this is just kind of fan service for fan service sake, but like not too often. And like for most of the time, it's like, oh no, it's just like they are wearing bathing suits like this because that's what you do in beach volleyball, and like there's gonna be a lot of fan service in beach volleyball just because of the way it is. So
they do balance it well. They do.
Yeah, more or less of what everything Bcom said. it starts off early with like a little bit of mystery surrounding Kanata's past with beach volleyball, but then you quickly find out what it was in episode 2, and they solve it and just get that shit out of the way, which I was like, yes. So now we can focus on like some rivalry, and just people will just be like, I want to beat the next person I come across. The drama in those first 2 matches was done really well. I thought it was super entertaining. I also like this little thing that they're doing with their eyes. I'm sure you guys have picked up on this too, right?
Well, which thing? Explain it.
The coloring of their eyes.
Oh,
Maybe?
I think like
So they'll have like green eyes. Like so like Haruka, Kanata, both, I think they had green eyes, but then there's like a red that kind of sits at the bottom, so it makes their eyes really pop. And then the other But then the other girl in the roomie, I think she had purple, and then they put a little yellow on the bottom. So like, and these are complementing colors, so they each make each other stand out. So it's just
that's cool.
Yeah, it's just really cool to see them pop like that. I didn't get to see the blonde girls yet, but I'm sure they're equally just as
probably green or something.
Crazy,
I forget.
Yeah.
I will say, like, as they introduce like new pairs of girls, like there is definitely some Yuri shipping going on in this show. Like,
yeah.
Just like mostly undertones, but like a little bit of like hinting that like, some of these things could go somewhere.
Well, Ayasa literally calls Kanata Narumi's ex.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me. It reminds me of New Game. Like, you remember how in New Game, like, there's definitely Yuri shipping, and like it's pretty obvious what they're doing, but it's never like too ridiculous,
Right.
Yeah. It's that kind of feel. If you liked New Game, you might like it. I think it's better than New Game, honestly. But
I actually do too. I enjoy this more than New Game, probably because like none of the girls are really lollies. That's probably why. Like, except for Kanata is pretty small, but like beyond that, they're all like, oh yeah, these are high school girls.
Yeah, but it's still believable with her though.
Right, exactly.
yeah, it's also more sporty, and I like sporty shows. So, yep.
Yeah, and it's a relaxed sports show, which seems like perfect for summer.
Exactly.
So yeah, I like it. But we have to move on.
Oh shit!
This show.
Here comes the
Happy
edge.
Sugar Life.
Here comes the edge. Okay.
From the director of Action Heroine Cheerfruits.
Oh, girl.
And actually, there's 2 directors on the show. The other director, Nobuyushi Yanagayama, directed My Girlfriend's a Show Bitch, also.
Oh my gosh. What a weird shift.
Why don't you tell us about this?
The director also... is there 2 directors?
Yeah, there's 2 directors on the show. Like, I don't know if one of them is like head director and the other is like a sub director.
Well, the other
or
one,
if they're just co-directing.
Keizo Kusakawa did Action Heron Cheerfruits and
Aho Girl. No, but like, look at the weird switch. Like, they've got the guy who worked on Aho Girl and the guy who worked on The Royal Tutor, which is just some like cutesy show. Like,
yeah.
Now they're just
it is a weird switch.
Oh man, now they're just
when
animating.
I went to watch this show. Yeah. So when I went to watch this show, I watched my shows in the wrong order. I watched Harukana Receive just before this.
Oh,
so,
no.
Like, I'm all happy, and I'm like, this is awesome. So, like, starting this show was just like a literal snap of my neck. It's just the change of the atmosphere. I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But I only watched the first episode. I did not want to watch the second episode, but it's just shitty people getting their just desserts, and then... I mean, if you like that shit, then it's for you. But
it's like the edge show of the season. It's literally like, strap in, kids, hold on for the ride, because we got a checklist here. Cute girls cutting people into pieces and disposing of the bodies in little plastic bags. Check. A little girl in dire danger from not one but several psychopaths, all vying to do different degrees of fucked up shit. Check. Not one, but several characters with rape fantasies. Check. Not one, but several stalkers. Check. Like, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Pretty bad.
And like the whole thing revolves around like these 2 main characters who are named Sato, who is like the older girl with the pink hair, and Chio, who's the little girl. And those Sato and Chio literally mean sugar and salt, respectively, in Japanese. And so like Happy Sugar Life is like, Sato is always like, she's had a really screwed up childhood, and she clearly wants that like innocence that she lost through her childhood, and she's trying to get it by like kidnapping Chio keeping her in this apartment, and like every time she comes home to her, like having like a little pretend like marriage vow with this little like 7-year-old girl, which gives her, it raises her sugar levels, is how she says it, basically, is like her personal happiness. Like she's in love with the innocence of this little girl, which is really creepy. And obviously, like, you want Chio to escape this situation somehow.
But she's so happy, and like I don't really understand how she is so happy. Like, do you think that Chio has brainwashed her, and that's why she doesn't seem to like know that she's been kidnapped, or that like she's?
I haven't seen enough to even think.
Yeah, I think Chio is the little girl, right? Yeah, Chio, I think, is somewhat. I think she has some weird history, which we haven't gotten to yet. Like, the one thing I read about this show before it aired is that literally everybody in this show is crazy in some way. So I think that includes Chio. So, like, I don't know if it's because of like the home she came from. I think there's hints at that, like that she didn't come from the best place either.
Yeah, because her brother used to do that weird marriage thing with her before that girl.
Right.
So, like, I think her brother's fucked up too, so I don't really know if I want her to be saved, because she's probably going to go back to her family. God knows what her brother's doing to her. Like,
well, even if she doesn't go back to her crazy family, like, hopefully she just finds a way to be happy without Sato, who is completely batshit insane too, and is like a literal murderer, and like goes, man, that whole scene where she like she goes to work with her like boss or her supervisor, who's a woman, and she finds out that her supervisor is raping her male coworker in like the back room, like the manager's room. Like, that was ridiculous. Like, it was so ridiculous on so many levels. That scene was like, wow, this is the edgiest shit ever.
It's the most like fetishy, like, female rape scene I've ever seen in my I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. It's obviously, I mean, I knew they weren't going to handle it well. I mean, it's an edge anime, but it was pretty bad.
The only parts of it that I thought they handled okay were that, like, at least that guy had lasting, like, male, like, psychological, like, consequences from that rape. Like, he, like, we see him in, like, either later in that episode or in the next episode, like, a girl comes up to him and he, like, gets, like, physically sick, like, and he doesn't want to be touched by anybody. Like, so he has lasting, like, psychological issues relating back to that assault, and like, of course you would,
but they don't really handle that well either, because like his response to having those psychological issues is that he should just be attracted to like little 7-year-old girls from now on and become a pedophile. Which that insinuation is so insulting. It's like, no, not all men who've been raped become pedophiles. That's not the way it works. Like,
God.
But,
no, this show has a weird relationship with pedophilia, and I'm like not really sure where all this is going. Like, between the main character's relationship with the little girl and then like all these other characters who are like feeling that way too. Oh man, it's just so strange. I will say this is directed pretty well. Like it looks interesting often enough, and like the tone is pretty cool. It's just the content of it is like so weird.
Did you?
And
guys...
it's like you definitely need to be like a certain type of person to want to watch this show.
Yeah, I have to admit, I like watching it just because it's so twisted and ridiculous. But like, it's weird. Did you guys see the scene where Chio wants to go outside to get the clothes from like the balcony? Did you guys see that yet? And then she like passes out because like that girl has put gas like all the fuck around the apartment. Like, what? That's not realistic. Like, you could never do that. Like, someone would like, what the hell? That doesn't even make sense.
It just like speaks to like how she's like she is. Okay, like when she comes home and she talks to Chio, like she has this very innocent way of thinking about her. But then the minute she leaves, it's like, it's a prison. Like the place Chio is staying in, that apartment is a prison that she is not allowed to leave ever. Because like she doesn't want to like ruin her innocence and purity and sugar life. It's so fucked up. I don't know. Yeah.
Are we gonna talk about the teacher who wants to fuck her, but then he's in for a surprise?
Oh yeah. Like that was pretty intense. Like, and then like she basically like blackmails him into doing her like own dirty work for her.
She hands him these plastic baggies just full of like minced up human bits, and he has to get rid of them. And he's like, "Oh
God."
Yeah, no, this is an Edge show. This is dark.
Yeah, not much else to say about it besides that. Like, if you like kind of like watching edgy shows for the Edge, and it's like directed well enough, like then I would recommend it. Like as like a this is crazy, this is fucked up type of watch. Like, yeah, it's not really scary or anything, or even that unsettling. It's just really weird. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kat,
but
I think you should do the next one.
All right. So the next one is Grand Blue Dreaming, also on Amazon Prime. And this is basically Frat Boys, the animation. That's what they should have called it instead of Grand Blue Dreaming. I do like the opening a lot. I don't know if you guys have like, it sticks in my head immediately. Like I listened to it once and I was already like, this is awesome. I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't stick on my head that much, but yeah, it's catchy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this show is just constant drinking scenes. So like the main guy, he just got to college. He's going to be living with his relatives who have two like younger daughters. And then he like, so the scuba club that his relatives run a scuba shop, and there's a scuba club at the college. And so he immediately gets recruited into the club, which the club really isn't about scuba, you find out. It's really just a frat house. And they just go constantly drinking. Yeah. Like the show is just a cycle of them drinking until they pass out. They wake up naked in some public place. Then they have to figure out how to get clothes. Like the same jokes repeat again and again. One of the big ones is that even though the main dude is supposedly not a pervert and doesn't want to drink, or but he does it. Like he wants to secretly because he keeps doing it.
Well, they force it on him too.
Well, but
peer
not
pressure
really.
And all that.
Like maybe the first time, but after
they
like
physically keep forcing it down his throat.
I mean, he wanted to go to that party though. Like he did.
He wanted to go to the one with the chicks that got canceled. That was
my theory is he secretly does want to. He just doesn't want to admit it. Because otherwise he wouldn't keep doing this. He would figure out a way to get out. It's not like they're holding him at gunpoint, okay? But
well, I don't know. Have you seen the guns on their arms?
It's true.
Pretty much
They're pretty muscly.
But you see him slowly becoming like just like the other boys in the club who are like his like senpais. They're a couple years ahead of him. One thing that really pissed me off, there's a scene in the first episode where they wake up like in one of the like community areas of the college, and they're in their underwear and nothing else, and he's like, I'm gonna be late for like the opening ceremony and I have to be there. So he runs and does the opening ceremony and then his classes in his fucking underwear. He would never get away with going to class in his underwear and just sitting down in the lecture hall and being like, well, this is the way it is. That would never happen. Never.
I don't know. I feel like if the lecture hall is big enough and the professor is like has tenure and just doesn't give a fuck anymore, like it could potentially happen.
No, it wouldn't. It would not. Someone would be like, "You need to get your fucking ass out of here." Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Also, they have this gag where, like they keep handing them like glasses of vodka instead of glasses of water.
Water.
And then they drink them.
Oolong tea.
And they're like, this isn't water. Or they also do it with oolong tea. Yeah. And then eventually they're like, we need to hold a flame to all of the drinks that we are given, because otherwise we can't tell if they're alcohol or not. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Instead of lighting it on fire and like burning yourself, just stick your finger in there and lick it. It's pretty apparent if it has alcohol in it. Yeah, or smell it.
Yeah. I would like to know, at one point, he holds up a bottle that's like 98% alcohol. It's fucking Everclear. I'm like, they're drinking Everclear? You insane monsters.
I mean, Everclear is good if you soak it in some like fruit and stuff.
Yeah, if you dilute the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my hot take on the show is the jokes just aren't landing for me. I'm not really finding it funny. Also, that running joke, they just keep repeating that same joke 8 times in a row in 5-minute intervals.
It's just
that
not
does
funny
not
anymore.
make it funnier at all.
Yeah.
Also, it's fucking pushing incest. And who the fuck wants to think about banging their cousin the whole time?
And twice though, because like he like wants to bang his cousin, and then his cousin's sister wants to bang her as well. It's like what?
Yeah, and that's like a worse level of incest, because it's one thing if you want to bang your cousin, it's another thing if you want to bang your sister, right?
And like, let me just say, that sister they all want to bang, she's not that great. Like she's
kind of a
okay.
shithead. She's kind of a shithead.
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, I just don't like really love any of the characters. I don't identify with any of them, and like I hate frat boy humor. Like it was one thing back in the day when like I was watching American Pie before I went to college. But then when I went to college and afterwards, like I'm done with frat boy humor. Like it's over. I'm past that age. So maybe if you're like 15 to 17, you will like this show a lot. That's my hot take. I don't know.
And also, I just wanted to point out, this is yet another scuba diving anime that doesn't have a lot of scuba diving in it. Why is it we can't?
Well, at least I think there's some in like episode 3, which I didn't watch yet. So, but
I also know there's a new character in episode 3 named Azusa who's pretty smoking hot.
Oh, really? Well, okay.
Hair.
The character designs are pretty decent in this anime. Like for the girls, like they're okay, and like for the guys, they're like decent as well. I don't know. It's like well enough animated, I would say. That's like one positive thing I would say about it. But yeah,
that's all I'd say either.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to a much better animated show, which airs on Saturdays. I think you guys remember this one. It's called My Hero Academia, season 3.
How could I ever forget?
So I caught up all the way with this show, basically, to watch episodes 52 and 53, which were the first two that aired in July. So like when at the start of the season. And so, yeah, the first half of the season, which we didn't cover, like wrapped up with this amazing fight between All Might and All for One.
Yeah, that was an epic ending. Yeah, I will say that.
I also really love that part where, like, as they're fighting, like, the others are trying to figure out a way to, like, escape with Bakugo, who's been kidnapped, and like they come up with this crazy plan to like shoot themselves over the fight with like ice and like Ida's like jet like powers and shit, and like what's his name, Tetsu like calls out to Bakugo, and like Bakugo blasts off and grabs his hand. Like all of that was animated like 10 out of 10, unbelievable animation. It's really hype. So yeah, now that all this stuff has quieted down, like the UA Academy has like instituted a new policy that all the students have to live on campus in these new dorms. And part of this is to keep the students safer from like the villains' attacks, but the principal also sees it as an opportunity to limit any like security leaks from inside the academy, because clearly the villains have been getting information from somebody on the inside, or at least that's what he assumes. And yeah, this arc is going to be about the students getting their provisional license to be heroes. And so there's yet another examination arc at the beginning of this second half.
I think what they do is like an internship.
Well, no.
Well, they did an internship already.
Yeah,
this is like exams.
I was kind of pissed off because like the whole idea that like now All Might can't use his powers anymore, and there's this dramatic scene where he like points and he's like, now it's up to you, and it's like a passing the torch scene, and they've just defeated this huge enemy, and it's this huge sort of close on an arc. And then the next few episodes are just not that great. Like they're cute, there's like cute moments in it'll make you laugh, and then like they start this it's almost like another tournament arc or something, and I'm just like, but we already did that. Like, I don't really want to do it again. Like, I don't know. I got frustrated, but I hope it'll get better.
It's a chance for them to develop these like new like ultimate moves, because like they're told to do that for this exam to prove that they're ready to be heroes. And like that was kind of funny because, like, okay, Bakugo has this new move, right, where he can concentrate his firepower into this, like, single beam called the armor-piercing shot, and, like, it looks fucking awesome, and I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And Deku, who his arms are, like, crippled from using his power too much, realizes, oh, by the way, I have legs, too, so I can use those. Why didn't I think of this before? He has this, like, expanding mind moment. Like, it's really funny. It goes on for, like, 30 seconds
Well, I think the
of
thing
him
was,
realizing this.
The whole time he was trying to be like All Might, but he needed to come up with his own signature move, so like that's why he went with the legs. So
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I have an issue with the way the guys are treated in this show versus the girls. Like, Ochako coming up with her move is like, basically she wants to find a way to be less nauseous when she's in midair. And I'm just like, really? That's the coolest thing you could think of for Ochako? Okay, thanks, show. Thanks so much. But yeah, like, Deku's costume gets a change because of, like, his new approach. He gets, like, iron soles on his shoes, and, like, he's got arm braces to support him now.
I actually didn't like the new costume. Cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
It's got, like, black, like, boots and white gloves. And I'm like, either make the gloves black or make the boots white. Pick one. Mm-hmm. Pick an accent color. That's just my personal gripe.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, this arc, like, it seems like something we've been through before, basically, with, like, oh, we're in, like, a training period, and then the villains will attack again, and then we'll have, like, another storyline with that. And they've also introduced, like, these, like, other hero schools. It's kind of like Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire or something, like, where, like,
it does remind me of that.
Heroes are coming in.
Oh my gosh, you made a perfect analogy.
It was like exactly what I was thinking of, because it's like, oh, Victor Crumb and Fleur Delacour are showing up. Like, they're gonna, like, challenge Deku and Bakugo. I don't know. It's pretty funny, but yeah, it's like at this point in the show, sometimes I feel like it doesn't need so many new characters, but we keep getting new characters, and there's so many things. We have so many cool characters already that, like, they don't fully explore as much as I feel like they could, especially the girls, like Yaoyorozu in particular. And Ochako. But I don't know. Like, I did really enjoy the ending to the first arc of the season. And so I'm going to definitely keep going with this. And I'm sure a lot of people are loving this show as usual. Probably. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. There is a point in, like, the middle of these episodes where you get to see Eraserhead, like, in formal attire again with, like, his hair pulled back. And I'm like, yes, someone should make this mandatory. That should be his new hairstyle. He looks so good with his hair pulled back.
I need to ask, what do girls love so much about Eraserhead?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
He's the hottest guy in this entire anime. What are you talking about? He's, like, grizzled.
I guess.
It's sexy. I don't know why. He just is.
Is it because he looks like he never sleeps and half of the times has bandages all over his face? Like,
it's just that toughness, maybe.
Like, I don't get it.
I don't know.
Is it like a mummy fetish?
No, it's not a mummy fetish.
I think it's because he's also kind of mysterious.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty mysterious.
Well, no,
I think that's part of it.
I think it's the toughness. Like you know how people like Levi because he looks always angry and, like, tough?
Yeah.
Eraserhead's kind of like that, right? He's like, oh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are kind of similar. They have the same eyes, like those slanted, like, angry eyes. So that makes sense to me. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. We've got the next show, which is called Revue Starlight, which is airing on High Dive. Also called Shoujo Kageki Revue Starlight.
Let me get my piece in before you two go with this.
Go
all right.
ahead.
All right. So this is a drama show. Should come to no surprise to anybody that I don't like it. So first episode, I get cared less about these girls. Of course, Hikari is harboring some kind of hate towards Karen that is probably just silly teenage drama that you see in a lot of these shows. The dream weird battles with the giraffe that, like, Karen has, I thought was kind of a nice touch. It seemed like they were trying to grab people who wouldn't usually watch this type of show or genre. Definitely still was not enough for me. I watched this just after waking up, and I was yawning and, like, almost nodding my head down because it was trying to put me back to sleep after, like, a full night's sleep. I was so bored with this. The drama coming from Yuuna in the second episode just had me eye rolling. Her outburst during class was just the worst, absolute worst. And then she collapses, and I just sat here and just went, really? And then they just follow up with like this pep talk that was about as inspiring as I guess reading the ingredients on a bag of bread. If that's all it took for you to find your resolve, you were hardly in despair in the first place. The show, the one reaction the show did get out of me was when Yuuna goes, "Maybe I'm just overthinking this." I audibly just go, "Yeah, you think?" That was pretty much my summary of this show. It's just,
I don't really think it's that dramatic. I don't know. It's just got like stuff going on. It's not as bad as Hanebado. Like, at least they have reasons.
It's definitely not that dramatic. Yeah,
Hanebado just it cranked it to 12. It just skipped 11. I don't know what that show's about. Jeez.
So let me talk about a little bit where this show comes from, because it's really interesting. Like, in Japan, in real life, there's this thing called the Takarazuka Revue, which is this all-female theater production that was founded in like 1913 and continues on to this day. And apparently it's a very difficult production to get into as an actress and has like this really devoted fan base. So this anime is really heavily based on that style of theatrical production. And it's also going to have its own live show this September for like a couple days, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like through the first few episodes, the girls compete in this mysterious audition process that has like a leaderboard, and it ranks them based on their performance and is overseen, like Leo said, by this weird giraffe. Which, like, when I saw this giraffe... Yeah, when I saw this draft, that's kind of like when I got pulled into the show, because I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, this is a really weird thing, and I want to see what this is. He's like the production manager of like the whole like thing, he's looking to choose one or a couple of these girls to go on to the Revue Starlight final show eventually.
The giraffe, like that, the reason they chose a giraffe is a symbolism, like they did it on purpose? Or do you think it's just random?
Probably.
Because like the giraffe is supposed to symbolize like the ability to see the future and obtain things that you would normally not be able to like obtain because it's out of reach.
Oh, really?
Like the long neck. Huh. So like I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if like that's the idea they were going for, or like if it was just random and they're like, you know what would be great? Like if we did a random zoo animal.
So yeah, if you just do a quick Google search, you were right, Kat. It says, with its long neck reaching to the heavens, symbolizes the ability to see the future and obtain things that would normally be out of reach. Huh. When your life is chaotic, giraffe reminds you to keep your head up and avoid getting entangled in needless arguments. So, I mean, if that's a crazy coincidence if they didn't do that on purpose, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's almost certainly on purpose, because like the director who's doing this has worked with Kunihiko Ikuhara, who did Revolutionary Girl Utena, and Yurikuma Arashi, which this director Tomohiro Furukawa worked on as a unit director for one of the episodes. Mm-hmm. He actually even storyboarded episode 1 of Yurikuma Arashi, so he was definitely involved in that production. And is like influenced by that weird, like surreal style of anime. So that's definitely like apparent here. And the episodes are structured similarly to something like Utena, with like there's a bunch of drama that plays out between the girls in the first half of the episode. Like whatever is like the drama of the day plays out. And then it transitions into the audition, and I love the transition scene because it's this like crazy like plunging like elevator down into like the bowels of their school, and then like there's all this machinery.
Yeah, the machine.
Yeah,
I couldn't quite figure out
like
what
the
was going on.
flurry of machines. It's like it's knitting together their like military princess or prince uniforms that they perform in, and like forging the buttons and like putting it like together, and then like there's like a little transformation scene, and then like the girls like do their performance, which usually involves like sword fighting and singing and like bows and arrows and just like running upstairs and trying to reach like position 0, which is the position that the top star takes. And so, yeah, it's interesting because it's like the show is like half like Utena walking up the stairs to like duel somebody for Anthe or something. And then like it's half like Love Live with like the girls like, oh, I want to be the top idol, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sad. And like just like getting up to like shenanigans. It's like there's a weird mix of two different things. And I don't think it always like works completely. Like I think the first half of each episode is usually weaker than the second half, is how I would put it. Like they don't always do a fantastic job of setting up the character drama in a way that makes sense. But I think the performances and like the fights in the second half of the episodes underneath the school are really awesome, and is basically the reason I've kept watching.
I would agree with that. I think the scenes where they go into the other world or whatever are the most interesting. I don't really understand why the way they fight is to like cut off each other's capes. I think that's a little bizarre. And I think
that's more of just like who can land a blow first.
Well, because
that might be something from like the theater background.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
a
what I
way
was
to
thinking.
show like you're defeated.
Yeah, because I was trying to look it up and see, because I feel like there has to be something behind that, but I couldn't find it, and I don't know if that's because it's based in theater, and none of us have a theater background, and so we're not getting it. But it's interesting.
I think the show looks spectacular most of the time. It's directed by Kinema Citrus, who, of course, did Land of the Lustrous recently, but this is way more hand-drawn, not all CGI like Land of the Lustrous, sorry. And, it just looks fantastic. And, that whole transition scene is amazing. Like, the fight scenes are really well done. One of the things that's interesting to note about this, I've been following on the Sakuga blog, the blog for Sakuga Buru. They're the guy over there, Kaven, and on their Twitter as well, has reported that Kinema Citrus's president tweeted out that they're trying to recruit more animators through Twitter and social media because their production has been so ambitious so far. The animators have not been able to keep up with all the cuts that they need to create, and so hopefully all of that works out. I hope this show doesn't plunge in quality in a few episodes. I'm gonna keep an eye on that, but the animators and the president of the studio seem to think it may not be able to keep up the quality going forward if something doesn't change, so that's a little worrisome. And I don't know where this show is going. Most weird surrealistic anime, I'm not really sure. I know there is definitely a strong relationship between those two childhood friend main characters who are certainly the mains, but
because the whole because they mentioned the whole reason that Karen, the main girl, wasn't originally chosen for this contest is because she quote unquote shares a fate with that other girl. So that's
right.
definitely going to be the main focus in some way, but I don't really know what the fuck that means yet. I guess we're going to see.
Yeah,
because we really don't.
I'm interested to see.
Yeah, we don't even know what they're competing for, because it can't just literally be the lead in that school play. They're obviously competing for something else, right?
There's probably more to it than just getting the part. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does seem like many of them stake their whole personal life on their whole personal worth on being the top star. The one who is the top star right now, Tendo Maya, who is the daughter of this prima donna and is supernaturally talented at all this stuff, is definitely holds her personal worth in that stardom. And same for several of the other girls, Claudine, who is has a French parent and is from abroad, and has a background as a child actress, really wants to beat Tendo, and so there's tension there. And then I don't know, I think each of the girls individually stand out pretty well, which I thought was interesting. Sometimes that doesn't get well done, in another idol show we'll talk about called Music Girls in a little bit. But here they stand out, and I think it's going to explore each of their individual motivations for wanting to be the top star, and we'll unravel more and more of the mystery as we go forward, basically. So
yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it's something that you don't see very much. It's something unique, and just for that reason alone, it's good to look at, I think. So,
but you know what you do see a lot of? Yuuna and the Haunted Hot Springs.
Oh my gosh.
Cat's favorite show of the season.
This fucking show is a shitbag of a show. This is it has no substance to it. It might as well be called Yuuna and her haunted panties, because that's basically what this show is all about. It's boobs and underwear. It's terrible.
What gave it away? The hot springs in the title?
and guess who fucking directed this? The same fucker who did Clockwork Planet. Every time this guy touches any anime, it's just the worst rotten, smelly piece of shit that's ever been done.
Cat's having some anime PTSD.
It's a pretty harmless, ecchi show about a guy who picks up a bunch of like demon/ghost chicks at an onsen he's staying at. Like, that's basically all it is. I will say one highlight is that the purple-haired girl is voiced by Rie Takahashi, who does like Megumin and everybody. And she's like kind of like sort of yandere a little bit. Like, she has a knife and she's constantly threatening him. And I thought she was really fun. The low light is like the oldest one of them is a lolly. She's not free from the fan service like entirely. I don't know. It's pretty dumb. It's a pretty dumb ecchi show. It's not like offensively bad though. It's like okay.
They got like the boyish
like
girl who looks like a ninja. They got the girl with like the giant jugs that like defy science. You know, they got all of them.
I hate that character too. I don't like her at all. Yeah, with the pink hair. Yeah.
Oh my god.
She's dumb.
I just want to tell her to like kneel on the ground and make moo noises because that's all she's good for.
Jesus.
She's like that sea cow from the Last Jedi, the new Star Wars movie that like Mark Hamill like drinks the milk out of its udders. Like, that's what she reminds me of. She's like a worthless like thing, big ass thing, like sitting by the side of the onsen, just like
just jiggling and making like noises.
Yeah, pretty much.
God,
Yep.
I don't think the show's that bad, guys. Give it a break.
Oh, of course you
not
don't,
that
Leo.
bad.
But let's consider like what we just heard from him. Revue Starlight. I hated this show. It actually had things going on in it. How dare they? A show about like jiggling breasts and like haunted underwear. Oh, I enjoyed it. It was fine. I don't know why you're mad. Fucking Leo.
Like, to me, this show was just like the palate cleanser. Like, I didn't. It was
This is your
enough to
palate
keep my
cleanser.
attention. It didn't. Yeah.
After
It's
I watched
it's
this
a nothing show. My brain turns off.
I will tell you, I watched the first episode of this show at my gym, and I was never more mortified. Like, I've gotten over blatantly watching anime at the gym. It's a little embarrassing. I deal with it. Watching this show at the gym while some dude like runs next to me. Oh man.
Yeah, you can only imagine that. It would be great to know what those people are thinking.
They're like, why is she
Don't worry,
watching?
Kat. That's how you sort the wheat from the chaff. That's how you find the real good ones, the keepers.
No,
in the bunch.
in my head, I was like, they probably think I'm watching porn. This looks like porn. They think I'm watching porn at the gym. That's fine.
Yeah, I would believe that.
Yeah.
I think they're just like, I appreciate that she's watching this next to me because I get to look at this porn. It's extra motivation on my run.
Exactly. There you go.
But yeah, with that, why don't we take a short break for commercials from our friends who also do podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a slimy pizza we found in the garbage.
Yeah, they're gonna go to the park late at night. Nothing wrong could happen there.
Nothing bad ever happens
Come on,
at the park
Japan.
late at night.
It's Japan. It's safe there.
Yeah, sure. Safe.
The tentacle monsters only come out in your bedroom at night.
You haven't watched a whole lot of hentai, have you?
No,
'Cause
I
they
haven't.
catch you at school, too.
You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on FaceTube, uBook, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. And on Twitter, at Trash Panda Anime. Oh, we also have a website, tpwapodcast.com.
Hey Colin, did you get the cardboard cutout of Consul Kev?
Did I ever? It's amazing.
Oh, I think so too. I hate that guy. Kevin, what are you doing here?
Just eavesdropping on all the bad things you say about me. My usual Wednesday.
Oh, well, did you at least prepare for the Retro Gaming Podcast?
Absolutely not.
Oh, God, that figures. All right, it's okay. I'll take it from here. Basically, we pick a theme every time, and we pick a number of games based on that theme. You know, just like our first episode where it lasted forever and we talked about space games.
Yeah, and other good, all the mainstream systems and games you love, like the 3DO, the Atari Jaguar.
Oh, come on. Colin, you back me up here. The 3DO is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were friends. I mean, it's cool. All right.
If you want to hear three guys talk about games that are bad because JD picked them all, and good games that Kevin picked, join us.
Who here wants to see a bunch of nerds talking video games with a little bit of anime thrown in there? Nobody? Just me? Damn!
Well, speaking of anime, Colin, we have an anime cast as well.
Yes, we do. All retro anime. Many of which I have never heard of myself. And I'm a weeb!
A very similar premise there. We pick a retro anime, at least 15 years or older, and we review it every episode. We also keep up on all the modern stuff, all the seasonal things from the year. Hey, Kevin, you just got back into wrestling, right?
I did.
Oh my god, did you know we also have a wrestling cast that just started?
I do now, because nobody tells me anything.
Ah, well, what do you think of the big dog these days?
He still sucks.
Well, that's good. Well, luckily, we just don't complain about WWE stuff. We also talk about a lot of the latest and greatest from the rising indie scene, New Japan, and Ring of Honor.
I like rings and honor.
Well, you should definitely listen to the Red Leaf Retrocast. We have such a wide range of topics, ideas to discuss, and just anything to review. It's fantastic, don't you guys think so?
It's alright!
Absolutely. And thanks again for the Sailor Moon episode. That's got me a lifetime supply of salt for my fries. From the fans. Ha!
That's the Red Leaf Retrocast. All things gaming, anime, and wrestling, found on all your favorite podcasting websites.
Hey, do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium?
Or the occasional penis plex?
Well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I'm Jay Silver.
I'm Corey Gold.
And we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
And we're back, and cells are at work, people.
Oh my god. People are losing their minds over this show.
They are.
You can wait for JoJo Part whatever is coming next, because David Production decided to do like a magic school bus show about the inside of people's bodies and all the little red blood cells and white blood cells.
But that's not what you really like about the show, is it? Fucking Bcom. Tell them what you really like.
No, there's an underdog. There's an underdog that goes unnoticed that we need to worship.
Is it an underdog? Is it an underdog?
Oh my god.
And they are the platelets.
Oh my god. You fucking bitches.
So,
cute little platelets.
People are
Public
obsessed.
service announcement, guys.
People
Keep
are
your Bcom away from this anime. Your Bcom will be prone to fits of moe blabbering and changing all their social media accounts to pics of child platelets.
Okay.
Jesus
people,
Christ.
especially people like Bcom, are obsessed with these goddamn platelets. They've been everywhere. They're cute little 5-year-olds, but come on. Like, okay, I'm looking at you, Bcom. I saw you add those platelet emojis to our fucking Discord. You thought you slid it in.
First of all, they were requested. Second of all, you're damn right I was waiting for the opportunity.
I saw it. I was like, oh, this motherfucker. What is he putting on our server?
It's so funny because I saw them too, and I was like, Bcom did this, didn't he?
Like, I added the white blood cell dude too with blood all over his face.
No one else would do it.
He was also very smartly called Hataraku Psycho, which I think is really good.
Yeah.
All right, so somebody give a general observation of what the show is, and then I'm going to break down some stuff because there's a lot going on here.
Kat, I think you can do that better than I can.
It's an interesting show. It's basically like that Disney show. I think it's called Osmosis Jones as an anime. Yeah. So each episode is like one event or like look into something going on in your body, which is like pretty normal and mundane, kind of like you got a cut or a virus tried to like get in and infect you, but they like blow it up and make these very normal things seem like epic and mind-blowing on like the scale of like one of those over-budget summer action flicks, right? Like where you see it and you can tell like way too much money was spent on it, and everything is epic, and everything is exploding into like a million pieces. Like that's kind of what they did in this anime. So
and everything's anthropomorphized, which
exactly.
is like the big part.
Yeah. And you get to see all these little cells as little anime people, and it's cute. And it manages to combine that sort of Osmosis Jones quality with the cutesy aspects of an anime to make people be enchanted and think they're adorable. I don't fucking know.
And I just they all make sense, right? Like as like medical metaphors too.
Yeah.
Like especially the white blood cells, who are just like psychotic, like monomaniacal freaking killers, and they're so good. I love them so much.
What's funny about that is how they actually work in the human body. Is what they do is the white blood cells surround the bacteria or germ and digest it. So they literally mob them. So like making them psychos is kind of pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. They're like first line of defense. Yeah.
Yeah. So this anime, it's such an awesome way to learn about your body because from what I can tell, everything is pretty much spot on. Everything is behaving exactly how it pretty much behaves in your body, just, exaggerated enough to make it be able to just do a story. It seems to be focusing mostly on the circulatory system and immune system, which is fine because that's where most of the action is. So there's a ton they can do with this. Learning about the germs just seems super cool considering they attack the body in an untold number of ways and how the body has basically an equal number of ways to combat it. So in the first episode, it's focusing on like the red blood cells and the white blood cells. The red blood cell's job is primarily to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide and nutrients to all kinds of parts of the body, which is exactly what you see them doing. So what you see in the show
with the little like baskets of bread and shit,
like baguettes.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. And she's got her box that says CO2 on the side. Yeah, that's basically what's going on.
I love that she has no idea where to go at any given time. Like she's always going the wrong direction. Like, that's
funny. Just something they made her a little ditzy, I guess, so she'd be adorable. Everybody likes their ditzy characters.
Yeah.
And of course, the white blood cells are the flat out security for your body. They are pretty much the first line of defense once the bacteria has entered the body. Once it's entered your body, actually your first line of defense is your skin, and it's also the largest organ of the body. So that's interesting. You didn't know that. The use of the white blood cells using receptors is a very true statement. It's what they use to recognize foreign cells and distinguish them from like the red blood cells or something else of the body. When that doesn't work, that's when you end up with the autoimmune diseases that cause the receptors to malfunction and basically turns your white blood cells on your own body.
Well, look at Leo. He knows some shit, huh?
I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It helps having a medical background. So this is I'm accidentally going to defend Bcom here. Having a platelets be small children is also accurate because they are smaller cells. I want to say they're like 20% smaller than the red and white blood cells. So making them moe as fuck is just a good job on the creator's part. and then I wrote this next line and had not watched second episode yet. And I was like, man, if they wanted to be more accurate, they could be gluing red blood cells together using their bodies, to patch stuff up. But like I see why they didn't go there because it'd be horrific. It's more like some Junji Ito crap for Cat. And then that's when I watched episode 2 and I just put my foot in my mouth like, God damn it, that's exactly what they did.
Yep.
I'm like,
I was also laughing at the red blood cells who were like, just like horrified at this situation they've been placed in.
Okay, so the creator, he read straight from a textbook. This guy is like straight on top of it. So in episode 2, the portrayal for the staphylococcus, is spot on for what it does. Basically, what it does is it impedes the white blood cells and it keeps the wound from closing, which is literally what he did in the episode 2. That was this bad guy's purpose. It's the two things he did. He stopped the white blood cells and he kept the wound open as long as possible. But you would also recognize this bacteria by a different name as MRSA. I'm sure more people are familiar with that. Yeah. So this is MRSA. Kind of a big deal. Also, the like vasoconstriction and venous valves perform just as they say they are in the anime. And then there was another one was streptococcus is as you would assume what would cause strep throat. And then there was the Pseudomonas, which is this just a massive group of bacteria that portrays everything. And there was also, I didn't look into this too deeply, but bacteria is often described by their shape and how they multiply. And from what I could tell, that's how the bacteria in the show was, that's how they drew them. It was basically based on like if they were a round type and they multiplied by like making X's across. There was a guy in there that was like, wow, that's actually scary accurate. So like this guy just opened a textbook and he just wrote a story from a medical textbook. This is exactly what he did. And like
it's pretty cool.
And because there's so much that can happen to your body, especially with like diseases and bacteria and stuff like this guy has like an endless number of stories he can tell.
I'm kind of curious, like what would you, especially since you have a medical background, Leo, what like would be your favorite like scenes or scenarios that you would want them to play out? Like what do you hope they do?
Since mine deals with muscles, I would like to see something to do with the muscles. I think that would be really cool. If I had to pick a specific muscle, something with the deltoid, because it's the only muscle. So all muscles pull, no muscle pushes. But the deltoid has fibers that run in both directions, so it's the only muscle that can basically move in two directions instead of one. So, so it's probably my favorite. So something with that one, I don't know. There's like fibromyalgia, something that affects muscles and stuff like that. So,
okay,
that may be one of them. I mean, God, it's endless. It's endless the things you could do with this. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things with this show is trying to guess, like, what is this person doing? Did they keep getting sick? Like, or get like MRSA and shit. Like, where are they?
Well,
like,
I
what
guess
are they
like
doing?
He's in a hospital. That's pretty easy.
Well, I guess you do come in
happen.
contact with all that stuff on a regular basis. You just don't get infected with it because you do have an immune system. Yeah,
because your white blood cells go berserk.
Yeah, you
kill
right
that
now.
shit.
You mean everybody listening? Your body's actually probably fighting something, but it's just doing such an efficient job. You never feel the symptoms. It's like this is an ongoing battle. It doesn't stop. It's just constantly going.
God, no.
Everybody thank your platelets
Please,
inside
no.
your body. Just like give your arms and legs a little massage. Just like make your platelets feel real good.
Why? Oh my god. Okay, I personally want to see more of that like hot nurse character that they keep showing you glimpses of, but like they haven't actually
she's
shown
a special type.
Oh, she's gonna be epic. I'm excited.
I'm gonna have so much fun every episode trying to figure out what he's borrowing and stuff. Like, I'm kind of proud. I noticed the platelets. I was like, why would he make them children? I was like, that's right, they're smaller. And then like the white blood cell at one point said something about he's a certain type of white blood cell, so he can move in between like the layers of the walls, which is why I was able to go into the ductwork system. I'm like, this dude knows his shit.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's been a person on Reddit who has been like, is either like a medical student or something, or maybe a doctor who has been like giving like a medical breakdown of each episode. I'm pretty sure I'll have to look for those. I don't know if they're still doing them, but they were really cool while they were putting them up.
I said, the bad guy in the second episode, he behaved exactly like the MRSA does. What it exactly does is what he exactly did. And I'm like, wow, he has all his bad guys already written for him in the medical books when he wants whatever easily. The creator wants to do.
And there's like a spin-off manga already called like Cells at Work Black or something, where it's like even worse diseases. It's like the apocalypse basically inside their body, and like the platelets have gotten turned into like child soldiers to fight off like the horrible disease racking this person's body.
I don't know how accurate that is medical wise, but I can say Cells at Work is definitely everything I've seen so far has been 100% accurate. I don't see him really make up anything other than, obviously, they don't talk to each other and shit like that. But
well, you know what else is 100% accurate is this historical drama, which is the next anime we're going to talk about, which is The Master of Ragnarok and Blesser of Einherjar, which is a historical drama set in Norse Viking mythology about a young boy.
By the way, you guys are laughing and Kat's going, no. I'm glad I just didn't even watch this at all.
It's a young boy who has his smartphone, very historically accurate, in like the Bronze Age, and he's able to look up on his smartphone military tactics that make him a very difficult army ruler to destroy.
You're being so fucking soft. So fucking soft on this anime.
It's so dumb. I don't know how else to talk about this show. It is a show about, an isekai about like a kid who can rule over an army. The girls in the anime call him either father or older brother because it's like a patriarchy. Basically the society, and he is the head patriarch. Whenever he conquers another army, he like takes their leader in, and like the leaders are usually women, so like he just added another leader as like his little sister, and so she calls him Big Brother now, Oni-chan.
Oh god!
And they all basically offer to like let him use their bodies in any way he wants.
They're all like, please let me suck your holy dick, please, because I want to so bad. That's like what this show's level is at. It's like, I think you're a god, and I want you to fuck me because it would be the best thing that ever happened in my life. Like that in their eyes. Like, okay, so this show is terrible. It's so much worse than almost any of the other isekai this season because the tone of it, it's not that there's sex in it or that it's like ecchi. Mm-hmm. That's not why I hate it. The tone is disgusting. When I was watching this, like my skin was just like crawling and I felt like I wanted to vomit. Like this dude basically has all these girls worshiping the ground he walks on. Like they might as well crawl after him as he walks and like lick the grass. Like that's what they're fucking doing.
Did they think he's a god, though? Is that what you said?
Kind
of.
They
basically look at him as like God King, Emperor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. And it's clear that like there's his position and their position, like way down by his feet. And like there's absolutely nothing that they could do to be his equal. Like no matter what they do, they are subservient to him, and like they are available to him at any moment. Like he could just pull down any of their pants. Like he could actually have them all stand in a line and like put their pants down, and you just like fuck all of them, because that's basically the way that this anime is set out. It's a male power fantasy.
And then they would yell, "Sieg Patriarch,
yes.
Sieg Patriarch" at him.
As they wait their turn to be pile driven. Exactly. So like this is a male power fantasy, just pure and simple. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I just liked the part where the girl was like, well, you know, like boys need to clean their pipes every now and then. It's very important. It's just like, okay. All right, Chio, do what you gotta do.
It's bad. It pissed me off, actually. I could not even make myself watch the second episode of this. And that's very rare.
Also, the character designs are real shitty. Like, for the girls, like, the only one that was even decent was this one girl named Sigrun, who has, like, a long braid. She looks okay. All the other girls just look terrible. Like, really terrible, in my opinion. I don't know. And, yeah, the main character looks like just Kirito version 7.8 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It's pretty bad. Probably don't watch it unless you want a good laugh.
If you want to watch an ecchi show, watch that like How Not to Summon a Demon Lord one. Like it's just as ecchi and it's not as gross. So
and it's got action, which is it's actually not too bad. It's decent, I think. I've seen episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then the action in this show is not good at all. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. All right, so speaking of shows you shouldn't watch, let's move on to Music Girls.
Good thing I didn't watch this one either.
Also known as Ongaku Shoujo. This is a Studio Dean idol anime that I tried to watch and my brain just kept shutting off. Like, I know, okay, in episode 1, I know that they were like in an airport and they were trying to like recruit a girl or something, or a girl came across them and then like wanted to become an idol as part of their group because she was like, idols are really cool. And then my brain shut off and I don't remember anything else. And in episode 2, all I know is there was a long nude bath scene panning up the girls' bodies. And I was like, yep, that's not my type of show. So,
well, okay.
Kat, if you have anything more to say about it, please go ahead.
Okay, I really don't understand what they're trying to do. Like, there's so many idol shows, like the saturation level is just off the charts, right? So like they have to have something unique about it. The main girl in this is just ear-achingly stupid. Like, she has less brain cells than a box of chocolates. Like, you could put a box of chocolates, it would be smarter than her. Like, she seems to have no concept of reality or common sense. Like, she kind of just bumbles around, like, ignorant about everything. Like I bet one of these other idols, like, in this band could be like, the sky is blue. And she'd be like, really? Is the sky blue?
Wow.
I didn't know. Like, she's such a fucking bitch.
What if she's
I don't know.
colorblind?
She's an idiot. She's a complete idiot. And then, like, also she can't even sing. So I guess the idea is that her mom was a famous singer, and then her mother moved, I think, to America, like to another country. I think it's America, to be with her dad, and they like had a kid, and now they're coming back to Japan. But like she is a foreigner, and she doesn't really understand a lot of things. Because it's almost like they're playing off the dumb foreigner joke, which I also don't really like.
Yeah.
But like she cannot sing to save her life. Like she's terrible. It's a terrible anime. Don't watch it. It'll make you want to
It's so
vomit.
bad. Yeah.
It's bad.
Like this is like kind of like the bottom of the barrel idol show. Yeah, just skip this one. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Sundays. And speaking of the dumb foreigner trope,
Oh, this isn't done well. Yeah, this is the funny one.
Yes.
Okay.
We got Asobi Asobase, Workshop of Fun, from Studio Lerche and directed by Seiji Kishi, who's done things like Angel Beats, Carnival Phantasm, Suki ga Kure, which was Leo's favorite show. Yuki Yuuna is a hero as well. So lots of great shows coming from this director, and this is another really well-directed show. So yeah, I'll just set it up a little bit. There's 3 girls. It's okay. I love how every episode starts off with the OP, right? It is this like angelic OP of these 3 main girls.
It is.
In like white dresses. They're like so innocent, right? They're like the most innocent girls we've ever seen. They're surrounded in fields of flowers, and it's like a soft, nice song. Yeah. And then the episode starts, and all hell starts to break loose because the 3 girls. Hanako is she's the one with black hair and long pigtails. She's like sort of this rich girl, and she's kind of a dummy. And then there's Olivia, who's a blonde, and they think she's a foreigner because she's blonde.
So I think what's going on with Olivia is that her parents are both foreigners. This is what I think I've got this right. Her parents are both foreigners
that makes sense.
who speak
Yeah.
English, but like they also speak Japanese, but they speak English. And so she can copy her parents' like terrible American accent because like she hears it all the time, but she actually can't speak English because she's lived in Japan all of her life. Like because they have her here.
That's what she says.
Yeah.
She flat out says that in the
makes a
first
ton of
episode.
sense,
Yeah. So that's why she looks like a foreigner, but she isn't one.
And so she's terrible at English, but Kasumi, who's the 3rd girl, she has black hair with glasses, and she's kind of like a studious girl. And she basically wants to get Olivia to tutor her in English because she got literally a 2 out of 100 on her last English test. So like she needs help big time with this. And Olivia's like, oh, I guess I can help if you teach me the Japanese pastimes that you know about. And like, so that's like the deal. And that's how they start like a club called like the Pastimers Club.
Well, I guess the idea, like, because Olivia keeps acting like she's this stupid, dumb foreigner who doesn't know anything. And I think she's doing it because like I'm sure in like how homogenized Japan is, she gets treated that way anyway all the time because she's blonde. So like people probably come up and treat her like she's like a dumb brick of a person.
She admits she does it specifically to fuck with Hanako.
Listen, like she does it, I think. But I think she does it because she got tired of people treating her like that anyway. Like no matter what she did, and having to like correct them all the time and be like, no, I actually speak Japanese. Like da 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 da. I think after a while she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna let them think I'm a stupid foreigner. That's fine. I'll just act like a stupid foreigner, and then the joke's on them. And that's really what she's doing.
Can we just talk about one of the ways she does that? In episode 1, there is this scene where she gets up to talk in front of her class, and she's supposed to be reading Japanese, and this is how Crunchyroll subtitled what she read, and it's so much better when she does it, but I'm gonna try, because it's like, hello, what Akbar Bono? Yo, Silkworm, Narwaller, yo, Maggie, wow, Scotty, Alkaline, Hacky Sacky Digital, come on, hold your socks, Tanya's picking tarps. It's just like,
it's complete nonsense.
Like, what the fuck? He said even. And like her teacher, he looks like a 1940s Japanese businessman, or like possibly just like Emperor Hirohito. He's got these really, really weird old fashioned glasses. He's like, wow, her Japanese is really bad too. Why is her Japanese so bad? This makes no sense. And like he like brings her to the office and asks her like, okay, I know you understand Japanese. Like you passed like the test with like a 90 to get into this school. Can you please speak normally from now on? And she's like, no, that's not going to happen. And she just leaves.
She's like, I'm having too much fun.
I love everything about her character.
Yeah, no, I do too. She's crazy. She makes this anime, in my opinion. Without her, this anime would just be like a normal, like, joke anime.
Yes. It definitely needs her.
Yeah, Olivia's definitely like the instigator, for sure.
But Hanako is great too. She quits her tennis team because like she's trying to get like the popular girls to invite her to this party. She heard them like overheard them talking about
Mixer.
And they won't let her into their little clique. Like she knows she can never be like a popular girl. So like she comes back to her classroom to talk to and like vent to Olivia about this. And she has her face down on her desk, like her chin, and she's like looking up at Olivia. And as they have this conversation, the camera cuts back and forth between Olivia and her. Every time it cuts back to her face just gets more and more deformed into the desk. It's just like a mush ball of a person, and it's just mushier and mushier. And like you think they've reached a point where they can't even push this any farther because it wouldn't look like a face, and still they push it farther somehow. And I'm just dying with laughter watching this happen.
They do
it's
so much with Hanako's face. Like Olivia gets a little bit, and like Kasumi gets a slight also, but with Hanako's face, it'll cut to it, and the face is completely different. It's not even the same fucking face anymore.
Yep. Oh, it's so good.
Speaking of faces, have you guys there is something weird with the animation of this series? Like the animation style is such that like it is almost as if none of them have noses, like at all. Oh yeah.
They look kind of like aliens a little bit. You're right about that at times.
Because at first I was like, what the fuck is this?
They just, they fluidly change between all these weird gag animation visual styles to accentuate any of the jokes that they're doing, and it works. It always works. It always makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm. I'll say some of the jokes, I'm laughing because I know what the punchline is, and it still hasn't been delivered yet. I'm already laughing. I don't know why. I think that would usually kill it for me, but it's still funny. The dynamics between the three is just like phenomenal.
Well, have we talked about the other girl at all yet? Well, the third
Kasumi?
one? Kasumi?
No, not too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's just like, okay, she's this cynical, like, ball, like, weird ball of a human being. Like, I don't know. You almost expect her to be, like, smoking on the roof, being like, you have no idea the things I've seen. Like, I don't know.
Like, doesn't she have like an older sister who like used to like beat her all the time at games and stuff? So that's why she doesn't like to play them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Then
she's also really good at games.
Yeah, she kind of gives this like harsh, like I don't give a single fuck type attitude to the anime. That even makes it funnier. So,
I want to say I think my favorite gag is Olivia's manipulation of like Hanako. Like the very first thing, they're playing the game where you paper rock scissors and you point in a direction, and if they like look in it, you get you don't. What Olivia does is just like slap her.
Yes.
It's so funny.
But then the other girl like sticks her hands like in their nose.
Well, to be fair, this is after Olivia like slapped her as hard as she could on tit. Like,
then she ended up having to play Kasumi, and she slaps her tit, and then even Olivia's like, "Oh, that's not what I intended to do." So then she stuffs her fingers up her nose. Yeah.
And I love the stupid gag that closes out that episode where they blow up like a freaking little inner tube pool.
The pool.
And fill it with water. And then they want to see if like a suitcase trunk will float because they heard that like somebody survived the sinking of the Titanic on a floating suitcase. And
a
then
really
like
expensive one.
Yeah. And then they start trying to figure that out, and then they start splashing each other, and then like the principal or the teacher or whatever walks by in the hall, and he sees there's water under the door, and he's like, what's going on in there? And then
and they know like, they're like in
Olivia
hot
had an
shit.
accident.
Yeah, they know they're in hot shit if like the teacher opens the door and there's like an inflatable pool in the classroom.
But but before that happens, like he has like this flashback, like I need to get to the bottom of this. He sees like a Detective Conan like silhouette, and he's like, "Oh, I can figure out this mystery." And he sticks his finger in what they just said was their piss, and licks it, and he's like, "I'm very upset that you lied to me. This just tastes like water."
One of the girls is like, "I think he did sound." Oh God, shit! Hold on. What do you say? One of the girls is like, "I think he sounded a little disappointed."
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. Oh my God.
Well, and they all act
so
normal.
that's a show in a nutshell. It's like pushing this like absurdist humor, like, you know, to the furthest edges it can go.
Yeah, they all act normal, and then he walks away, and they like look at each other and like, that wasn't normal at all. That was bizarre.
And I just like there's weird music cues, like when Olivia is talking about anything related to USA, there's like this weird dinky like recorder version of the United States national anthem playing behind it. It just sounds terrible. It's just so funny. Like everything they do just accentuates the jokes in a way that it makes it so much better. And it's just great direction and like great work from that studio all around. So yeah, it's one of my favorites of the season. It's great.
Same.
Well, and then there's the ending. So like the opening is that really sweet, like oh, they're so cute, like they're such innocent little girls, and then the ending is them like screaming a metal song.
Yeah, it's. I think it's like Hanako who's just like screaming and just like.
Yeah, I think all three of them sing it. Yeah, the song is called Inkya Impulse, but yeah, it's like a death metal thing. It's so good. And it's way more accurate to like how the show feels than the OP, which is completely ironic.
It's misleading as fuck, and it's so great.
I wonder how many people turned off this show after the OP. Like, I really wonder. Because like, there's probably some people who are like, "What is this? I'm not watching this."
Yeah, totally different show, guys. You go back and watch
epic.
it.
Yeah, you should try it.
All right, let's jump into the next one, which is another weird show called Planet With on Crunchyroll.
Which I think sucks.
Oh, what are you
I think it's pretty interesting.
It's fascinating. Okay, go ahead.
Generic as hell.
It's the original anime from Yohei Suzuki directing. This is at JC Staff. He directed Shimoneta, which we liked a lot. But also Urara Merucho and Dungeon no Di, Sword Oratoria, which were both not so great, in my opinion. I don't know. But this is a weird, like, super robot show that is, like, slowly revealing, like, a kind of interesting plot. It's like somewhere halfway between like a Gurren Lagann and then like a Bubuki Baranki or something with like the CG animation. But it's like more like comedic than either of those shows.
I can't believe you just used Bubuki Baranki because that's like what I compared it to for why it's fucking bad.
I know. Yeah, I would say this is like sort of a better version of Bubuki Baranki, at least so far, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just like the visual style reminded me of that and like the characters a little bit. I say Gurren Lagann because, like, you find out in the first 3 episodes, there's this conflict in the universe going on between these races that form the Nebula and, like, humanity on Earth, basically. And there's this certain group of humans who have the ability to fly these, like, anthropomorphic animal mechs.
My understanding was that there are 2 groups of aliens. And like one of them, I don't think that the humans are in
Nebula
charge.
has 2 separate factions. I
think the aliens are like using the humans. I don't think the humans are at all in charge. Like,
basically, yeah, the humans have come to this point in their evolution where they're able to gain enough power to pose a threat to this Nebula race. And so there's 2 factions of Nebulans who want to handle this in different ways. There's these people who want to seal away the power of humanity forever to prevent it from like taking them down. Like kind of like the way that like the aliens wanted to seal away the spiral galaxy races in Gurren Lagann. And then there's this other faction. So like the faction that wants to seal them away are these like dog people. And then the faction that wants to send humanity down the path of love is the cat people. And one of these cat people is named Sensei, and he lives with this young boy named Soya Kuroi, who has amnesia. But we find out a little bit later, he is originally from like the galaxy surrounding our star Sirius, or like the star system surrounding Sirius, like, and his planet was destroyed by this like cosmic dragon that has given power to like a whole bunch of people and civilizations. And I think it's heavily hinted that like the citizens, or the Grand Paladins, who are like the people who fight back in mechs against Soya all the time, got their power from that dragon. They have this like these little vials of like magic dust that they wear around their necks, and it seems like something that was given to them or they gained from that power. And so that's what the Nebula is worried about, this power to fight back. So yeah, like every episode, like this weird like floating like I don't know, like blimp will show
Bizarro
up.
blimp. It's always like a weird amalgamation of like different body parts and like a grinning face. It looks like something someone would like dream of when they've been on like too much acid or something. Honestly.
Oh God. Yeah.
It's always
and
weird.
they usually say things like peace or smile on them. They misspelled peace. They called it peas on the first episode.
But I think what they're supposed to do is make people like dream and like not have ambition, because like they kind of like emanate these weird peaceful dreams to people who get close to it. So I think that's the idea.
Or they make them face some kind of illusion that's like their regret, or like something that
I have a big problem with these illusions.
Oh, what's that?
So I've only seen the first two episodes. So both of the heroes were motivated by love to achieve their power. Hideo wanted to became a firefighter because he loved his mom who died in a fire, and Miyu who loves Harumi because she wants to be big and strong like her. But before that, Ginkgo says, so back to the factions, there's the two of them, and her factions, they want to see the humans evolve with love and not power, while the other faction just wants humans to stop evolving entirely. So my point is, Hideo became a firefighter because he loved his mom, so he gained power because of his love for somebody. And Miyu did the same thing because of her love for Harumi, or whatever. So it so confuses me when they do those their little things when they go inside. What the fuck this show is trying to say? It's like, I feel like it's like contradicting themselves. I'm like, I don't know. It felt like they were following the path of love more to me than the power. So I don't know. I just thought it was really. I don't think it knows what it's doing.
I think no. Okay, so I think what this is really about is like basically humans have made nuclear weapons, and they're dangerous, and they're destroying each other, and they could eventually destroy like other races. And so like basically the one group is like, we need to sort of dumb these humans down and like drug them up with these dreams so that they stop becoming dangerous. We need to basically dope them. And then the cat ones are like, no, we need to let them reach their full potential and like evolve as a species and become something better. Like we shouldn't mess with them. That's the idea.
Hideo, what's wrong about becoming a firefighter? That's like more of a protection type service.
Like the idea though is like, he's achieved his dream. He doesn't have to fight anymore. He doesn't have to like push ahead to achieve it. And he'll just stay in that. He'll just stay in that state, right? And he'll just be in that dream forever, and then he won't be actually doing anything.
I guess.
Right? Because he's dreaming of it. He's not actually doing it.
So
that's what I think is going on.
It makes sense from the one faction standpoint where they just want to, I guess, put us all in a coma.
Kind of, yeah.
Keep us from doing anything, but.
But yeah, so while the show keeps you thinking about like these big, like sort of weird philosophical questions that it keeps posing with like the different illusions, like it also has like a lot of like just fun running gags that I just kind of enjoy, like how Soya constantly wants to eat meat.
Yes.
Like he's trying to get some goddamn meat.
I keep thinking of High School DxD every time he says that. Because there's like pie, and this one he's like meat. I'm like,
well, okay. Do you think it's just a gag? Because I keep going back and forth. Part of me is like, yes, it's probably just a gag. They're probably just making this joke over and over. But then part of me is like, what if there's actually something to it, and he's gonna eat meat, and something like ridiculous is gonna happen?
I guarantee he's going to have like his ultimate transformation when he finally gets to eat some piece of meat. Like,
yes.
He keeps getting so close without actually biting into anything.
He'll finally bite into a piece of chicken or something, and then like he'll just transform, and like the weird blobby cat dude that's his mentor is going to be like, oh no,
super mecha cat.
We told him not to eat meat. We tried so hard. Like,
can we talk about how the blobby cat dude loves to look up the skirts of the anime figures in his room?
It's so bizarre.
Apparently, those characters are from the manga writer. He's written manga previously, and those are characters from his other manga. Yes, exactly. He's looting them with this cat thing, and it's so weird. And I love it
because the cat is so serious, right? Like he's so serious, and like I am the teacher, like I am the mentor. But then occasionally, when he thinks no one is looking, he'll just like slowly start to raise up the model, like stare at the model's panties, and then like someone will come in and he'll put it down real quick and be like, oh fuck, did anyone see?
I also think that the fight scenes are pretty decently choreographed. Sometimes they get like a little muddled. They're pretty CG, and sometimes they move so fast that you don't get a sense of what's happening.
When
but
they fight the big blimp things, nothing happens. But when they fight the what's his name, Soya or something?
Yeah, Soya.
Then they actually do a little bit more animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those parts are pretty cool. His ultimate attack is like the Giga Cat Hammer, which I like a lot. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of won over by the show because it's so weird. It's so different.
Oh God, I don't think it's different.
Well,
maybe it's not that different. It's just presented in a way that's kind of fun and weird.
I agree with Bcom because like the first few episodes, you're not sure like what faction the main guy is with even, and it's almost like you're seeing it from the villain's perspective at first because they haven't quite explained everything. And so that's a weird perspective to introduce everything from.
Yeah.
It's got some unique elements to it.
Yeah, so I'm watching this and I'm like, I've seen this before. And so I just started making a list of everything I've seen before. I'm like, okay, so kid loses his memories and parents die in an accident. I think I've seen that. He very conveniently obtains powers for no reason.
But I think they did that. I think they did that whole like he lost all of his memories thing as a joke, almost like making fun of that trope, because like they do it so obviously.
Well, then this whole thing's making a fun of everything, because then we get cute girl who seems to like him for almost no apparent reason except he was fucking nice to her once. I don't know how many times I've seen that one.
Well, there's a weird thing with her last name, which he can't pronounce, which is like, what is it? It's a Takamagahara, which is like, it's a Shinto dwelling place of the heavenly gods. So it's like the Shinto heaven or like place of the gods or something.
Yeah.
So like clearly she is going to have a role in this at some point, I feel like, based on that weird name alone.
And then I felt like they went full Power Rangers when they had the bad guys who have a hilarious bad flaw where if you defeat one, you defeat them all. I was like, what? What kind of design flaw is that? That is just stupid. I really only felt like the only appeal is that the main character presumably has to defeat the good guys. That's it. That's the only thing I kind of like about it. The rest of it, I'm just like, I've seen this show 200 times. Can I watch another isekai show instead? Like maybe.
Well, I think it's better than most isekai. I don't know. Like, yeah, just in terms of direction.
Want to watch How Not to Summon a Demon Lord 5 times more than watch this show.
I can understand that. Like, yeah. But, yeah. I think it came... I think part of it is I had low expectations, and it definitely surpassed them. Like, it's definitely better than I expected it to be. So, yeah. Should we move on to the next thing? Let's go on to Island.
It's not much better.
Speaking of low expectations, this is a visual novel adaptation, which pretty much you should have the lowest expectations possible for.
Especially when it has 3 lollies as their, like, main picture display.
Yeah. And it's a really shitty adaptation. Whenever you have a visual novel adaptation in anime, right, people will always say, well, the visual novel was so much better and like the anime is just being rushed, right? They'll say that no matter what visual novel it is. Every single time they say that, partially because like the visual novel is always going to be slower because it is a visual novel and you can take it at your own pace, and it's the whole point is like slowing it down and like reading through all the dialogue and like proceeding slowly through this story. But yeah, no, like it's just ridiculous. Like this one is actually pretty damn rushed. Like I watched the first 4 episodes of this and it was so rushed by episode 4. Like the first arc, of course, is about like one of the 3 girls because like it's 12 episodes. Each girl gets 4 episodes. That's how it works in a visual novel adaptation. But like episode 4, like this, like the bumbling idiot guy who he's shown up from like the future or the past. We are not really sure.
Future.
And yeah, I think future. And then like he has no like real curiosity about why he's on this island. He just has this weird feeling that he has to do something with these 3 girls, right? And like he keeps having visions of him just like in intimate situations with these little girls who all look like they're 10.
Has he like fucked all of them? Is that what's going on in this anime?
Like it, or he will.
Yeah, because that's what it feels like when I'm watching this anime. So.
And like the smallest one is like always like trying to get him to fuck her for some reason. Well, and he's like 28 or something. I don't know. He's like a man.
Well, fuck me so I can kill you while you fuck me. Like that's her.
Exactly. Yes.
That's her whole thing. I don't really get that. Although she's the cutest one of all of them, like with that hair.
I don't really like that hair. I don't know. It's weird. It's a different design than you would expect. It's okay. I don't like the other 2 girls at all, though. So I guess I would say she's like the most unique one.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you guys are debating this show right now.
Oh, we're not really debating.
It's a piece of
when they get to
trash.
episode 4, that one girl, like they get off the island, right? And like they have this whole character arc in like 10 minutes. That's like her entire story, which probably took like an hour or an hour and a half in the visual novel at least. And it's so sped up and so ridiculous that even like the visual novel people who would usually say this is sped up, this must be like hyper speed for them. It's ridiculous. And it just moves on. There's no hook here except for figuring out what the hell the mystery of this island is, and nobody cares. I guarantee you nobody cares. So we should just move on. Like Leo
He's a
said.
Terminator. He's been sent back in the past to kill one of the girls.
I wish.
That would be a more interesting show.
They put a lot of like money into like work into this anime too, so it's kind of a shame because like a lot of resources went into it, and like it's just not. I don't know. Yep.
Yeah, like Studio Feel, they can animate shit. Like they do good work. It's too bad that they're working on this show. Oh well. All right, let's move on to another show that we almost shot under our radar, but is pretty interesting, called We Rent Tsukumogami on Crunchyroll.
Is it interesting as you mean in the first episode where they hint that the brother and sister might have the hots for each other, and then we get the line, "We are not related by blood, but you can find such siblings anywhere." I had to pause the show and just put my face in my hands like the show's already ruined for me. I cannot keep watching this. I'm done already.
I mean, I have to
definitely
admit,
some weird tension between those two.
I have to
she's
admit,
like,
when I saw that, I was like, why? You were doing such a good job. And then you had to put the generic brother-sister who aren't related by blood bullshit in there. Like, why?
Yeah.
But I love the main idea of the show, though, which is based on these Tsukumogami, which are like items that people have cherished over like many years of owning them, like little tiny items that they have as like charms or like wall scrolls or just other things that they have around the house that they cherish. And like because they've been cherished so much, they have become like anthropomorphized. They have their own like little spirits and they can talk, and like the owners of this little lending shop can hear these Tsukumogami talk. And yeah, it's really interesting. Like I like how, as opposed to like Kyoto no Homes, where the main 2 characters are the ones who talk about this stuff all the time and like solve all the mysteries. Like in this show, it's like let's trick the Tsukumogami into going there and spying for us and figuring out this mystery for us, and then we'll overhear them
gossip.
talk about it.
Yeah, like old ladies.
I kind of like that. It's really cool.
I don't.
Yeah. Oh, really? I kind of like it. It's interesting.
It's cute. I don't know.
It's not really them solving the mystery. It's the Tsukumogamis like solving the mystery by listening to gossip, and
Well,
I don't see the appeal of it for so much.
the thing I
I see
really
the
like.
Holmes show is way better.
Okay,
From the mystery show this season, Holmes is way better.
The thing I like about the show is not the mysteries that it shows. The thing I like about it is it's set in the Edo period, which is like the 1600s to the 1800s in Japan. And like, it's very, like, it's really interesting. You get these glimpses of the way life was in that period that just kind of fascinate me. I don't know. Like, they go into talking about like all these old antiques and how people would use them. Like, they go into this whole description of how people would use different wall scrolls based on like the purpose of the tea ceremony and the time of the day. And you also get some talk about cool. like how society and day-to-day life like worked in that time in Japan, which is fascinating. At one point there's like a daimyo, right, who is letting a trusted family who works for him marry one of his daughters, and that's like an honor. And they kind of go into the whole dynamics of that and the society, and that's interesting because you don't see that a lot. So I like it for that, even though they did the trope.
I really liked the wall scroll stuff in episode 2, where like the wall scrolls, like this guy came to them because like his wall scrolls were like changing every night. And it turns out like the characters were jumping out of the scrolls and like fighting each other. And it was because like the Princess Kaguya like wall scroll like was looking every night up at trying to see the moon, and like it was blocked by trees. And like eventually they figure out like one of the wall scrolls they have at their lending shop is a very rarely used full moon wall scroll, and so they put it up, and then Kaguya can see it, and she's like, oh, it's so beautiful, I'm so happy, my wish has been like granted. And like all the guys fighting are like, oh, well, there's nothing left to fight about. And so the wall scrolls go back to normal.
It's hilarious
just
to me
a cute thing.
Because the shop owner is like, I think somebody's coming in every night and pranking me and switching out the scrolls. And I'm like, that's like something really dumb to think of, I think. And then when they do give him, they're like, oh, just put this scroll in there, it'll work. He's just like, okay. And I'm like, how gullible is this dude?
Well, okay, but like, what else would you think? Like, if it's between supernatural forces are changing all of my merchandise, or someone is pranking me. I mean, I know which one I would think.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be like sitting up one night looking for this shit, and then when you notice nobody came, you'd be like, what the? You would, something else is going on. You would, I don't know. You have a different train of thought. It just doesn't make sense to me. I was just like, man, dude.
The other big plus for this show is the OP, which is done by Miyavi, who is like my favorite Japanese music producer these days. Like, it's fucking a bumper, and like it's called Get Into My Heart, and I feel like that makes a lot of sense for the show because like these like little items are like getting into your heart, right? You cherish them and you remember them, and then they develop these spirits. But besides that, it's just a great song. It's really awesome.
Really upbeat. Like I always get excited when the song comes on. I didn't even know who it was by.
I recommend everybody start the episode and then just stop it and go to the next episode once you get through the OP.
You
That's
fucker.
my recommendation.
You fucker. This is a good show. Don't listen to him. It's good. Give it a chance.
I like that recommendation.
Oh, you assholes. Oh my god.
What? I mean, the song is the best part of the anime. I'm not gonna lie.
You guys are jerks. All right. Well, we'll go on to a worse show than that, though. We'll go on to Hanebado.
I have a lot to say about
Are you guys
one.
Are you ready for this? Can you take it? I don't know if I can take it. Can you take it? I'll take it. It's Hanebado.
Calm down.
What?
Studio Lion
Don't tell me to
Films.
calm down. This is a life death match. I'm not take it.
Because of when we're
review is
recording
going to
this,
kill us.
Jesus. Because of when we're recording this, I've literally been able to watch 5 episodes of this already.
Wow.
And I kind of needed to, because when this anime started off, I thought it was very promising because it has really great use of like animation and also CG animation for the badminton scenes, like the shuttlecocks like flying through the air like in slow motion, and like even more mundane scenes like where like the CGI is like weaving through like the team's like sneakers on the floor just to give you this like dynamic movement, and it all looks really nice. The character designs are pretty strong, and there's like high quality like mixing in of the hand-drawn animation too. And so it brings the badminton to life in a way that's really well done. early in the show, I was happy with the balance of the drama and the release, like, from that drama. Like, I'm not against people taking sports very seriously. Like, I definitely took sports seriously in high school and was around other people who did and, like, became professional. And, like, I can understand how, like, if you take sports seriously enough, it, like, bleeds over into every part of your life and a lot of your, like, decision making, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, the main character, or one of the mains in this story, is named Nagisa Aragaki. She's the captain of her high school badminton team, and she's recovering from a really bad loss that has her questioning whether she even wants to play badminton at all anymore, like whether she's meant to play it or if she just doesn't have the talent. Meanwhile, the girl who beat her is named Ayano Hanasaki, and she's quit badminton altogether and is looking for a new start, trying to do anything else. However, with each of these girls, like, one of their friends, like, encourages them to just keep going or get back to badminton. And so they end up in the same badminton club for high school. And so there's a lot of tension, and they have, like, a rematch, and Nagisa kind of has to come to terms with the fact that, like, Ayano is just better than her. She's just more talented, and, like, what she needs to focus on is, like, making her whole badminton team better so they can perform better in tournaments, not just making herself better, even though she wants to do that too. And she comes around to that viewpoint, like, pretty early on, by, like, episode 3. Like, her like, drama is kind of, like, wrapped up. And I was like, okay, good. Like, thank God the drama is over for now. We can, like, move forward.
But it's not.
Move forward as friends, you know?
It's just the beginning.
If you can inject soap opera into your veins, this is what you would get.
So, yeah. Unfortunately, Ayano has a very overdramatic backstory. She has a really shitty mother. At least that's the way her mother is being portrayed so far. Her mother is a former professional badminton, like, singles champion who has trained Ayano from a young age to be, like, basically her successor. And when Ayano, like, loses this big match against another girl, her mother basically takes it as a sign that, like, she's just not good enough, or she doesn't care enough about being, like, the successor for her legacy. So her mom fucking leaves, abandons her daughter, and goes to train this Dutch girl named Connie Christensen instead.
She gets, like, a new, more talented pseudo daughter, basically, is what she does.
Yes. She
It's pretty
upgrades
bad.
her daughter, throws out last year's model, and gets a new one. And she gives, like, no indication of, like, ever planning to come back. Like, she doesn't talk to her daughter. She just left. And I'm sure she'll have, like, some bullshit reason for why it was a good thing. But, like, no, she just seems like a crazy person. So then Connie, the Dutch, like, student, returns to Japan and finds an opportunity to face off against Ayano. This is, like, by episode 4 or something. And, like, basically beats her. But also Connie is, like, a terrible fucking teammate. She's playing doubles, right? And, like, she, like, basically tells her doubles teammate, like, just stay out of my way. I don't need you. I can beat them 1-on-2. And, like, proceeds to, like, basically try to do that. And, like, they eventually win the match, like, though Connie, like, kind of realizes she needed her partner by the end. But still, she's such a bitch. And, like, after the match, she goes up to Ayano and she's like, you really aren't your mother's daughter. Like, considering her mother has, like, abandoned this girl, like, it's such a shitty thing to say. Like, the level of drama got so unbelievably unnecessary that it just leaves a huge sour taste in your mouth at that point. And, like, I like a certain level of sports drama. I'm not against it. But, like, this mother leaving her children because she wants a better badminton protege? Are you kidding me? Like, why I do this?
Bcom, all I ask of you is just to do take my impressions and just insert it in here, because it's exactly how I thought it was going to turn out to be. And like I said then, I'm sad it went this way because this show, it's visually stunning. It's some of the best I've seen lately. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then also Trainer is back from Horse Girls Pretty Derby.
Oh yeah, the coach, like, feels up her hands. She's like, oh, you have those, like, springy, lithe, like, badminton playing hands. It's like, how can you even fucking tell? Like, what the fuck? You bastard. He's like looking at the girls through, like, the fence. Like, that has mostly gone away after the first episode, thankfully, but it's been replaced by this crazy drama that's, like, ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't even, all I did was watch episode 1, and then that was too much for me. And then I know I had just had a brief conversation with you, Bcom. I'm like, man, the drama's turning out that I'm also seeing things that say the drama is turning out like I thought it would. And then there was only like 2 episodes out. So like you went on the defensive with me. And then it was like 2 weeks later and you just sent me a message. You go, I watched episodes 3 and 4. It is too much. I was just like, oh my God. I was like,
and
holy shit, how much worse did it get?
If Bcom says it's too much, it's too damn much.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, that almost made me want to watch the episodes to see how bad they got.
Yeah.
But like you said, Kat, if Bcom said the drama was too much, there's no way I'm going to touch that. Give me a break.
Yep.
So it's really frustrating. I really wanted to like this show. And I will keep watching it because, like, I like the animation enough that I'll keep watching it. But, like, it just made me so angry at the stupid plot line it decided to go down.
Well, if they do dubs, they could just rechange a whole lot of the dialogue and it might be okay.
Yeah.
Just redub it to, like, a completely different script.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome then.
Oh, man.
Kat, I think you got a special one you wanted to throw in here,
okay,
right?
yeah. So I watched Lord of Vermilion. I know neither of you did. I just wanted to let everyone know. It's pretty much a trash anime. Like, I was excited because it looked interesting. It has the storyline about how a strange, like, red mist envelops Tokyo, and then a bunch of people faint and, like, disappear and turn into red mist themselves, and then some people wake up from this disaster and everything's like, it's supposed to be this mystery about what's going on with the red mist and like these powers that come from the red mist. But like really, so there's these 2 boys, and they both like they're living in a dojo. One is the son of the guy who runs it, and the other was adopted. And from the beginning, you can tell that it's supposed to be some sort of like pseudo yaoi pairing, because like the black-haired boy is like, we could run the dojo together, and I could be like your wife, and we would be great. And like he says, I could be like your wife. And I was like, they're throwing that out there right away, aren't they? They're letting you know. So then the disaster happens, and the white-haired boy takes forever to wake up. He finally does, and then within like 10 minutes of waking up, like the black-haired boy's dad like morphs into a monster, and then the other boy kills him, and then drama ensues and like crying. And
oh boy,
it's not good. It's terrible. It's just so generic. Like all of the things in this anime have been done before. Like, and the plot doesn't really even make sense. Like the elements of this plot are so mismatched and like squished together, and I don't really even know if they know what they want to do with this anime.
Oh,
to be
wow.
honest.
I'm looking at the Mal score, and it's at a 5.47.
It's bad. Like sometimes
that's really sad for Mal.
Sometimes I'll be watching it because I watched 3 episodes, and I'll be like, what do they even understand what the plot is themselves? Because they're like trying to explain it to you, and like I'm confused, and I can tell like they're confused. Like I don't really know what the source is for this. I think it's a card game. It's just convoluted. It's not good. Don't watch this. I got sucked into this. I thought like, oh, maybe it'll be good. I was excited. I wasted an hour and a half of my life.
Oh no!
Don't waste it.
Clockwork Planet all over again.
Well, I wasted a lot more than an hour and a half of my life on Clockwork Planet. Don't waste any of your time on this anime. I'm just letting you know. It's not good.
I also wanted to mention one other anime that we can't technically cover because it's on Netflix, and it just has like, it's going to be on Netflix anyway. And it like, so far as fan subs, it kind of has meme subs, which admittedly are really funny, but like are not very serious. Like, so like it's like they ripped it from the TV broadcast, right? And so you know how there's usually like the cut-ins from like the sponsor, like Kono Bango sponsor wa blah blah blah. Like they sub what the sponsor is saying with like ridiculous like phrases that are not at all what they're saying, but they sound like what they're saying. It's really funny. Anyway, High Score Girl is the show, and it's really fantastic so far. It is basically an advertisement for old Capcom arcade games, but it's in the best way possible because they really get it. And so like basically this little kid and this little girl become friends over playing at an arcade. Like when she just like whoops his ass in Street Fighter, like mercilessly. And it's so good. And like everybody's like really surprised that she's so good at it. And like she's really interesting as a character. She never speaks ever. Doesn't talk at all. She's like a rich girl.
Told you this.
Yeah, she's a rich girl from a rich family. And like it's really interesting though, because like she expresses so much through her like body language and through like smacking this kid who's being an idiot most of the time, and just like genuinely like flirting with him as things move on and stuff like that, and just clearly like latching onto him as a friend who shares an interest with her in these games like Street Fighter and like Splatterhouse and all these old Capcom arcade games. And it's so much fun to see them like go through and like beat these games and like talk about the crazy things that like took place in like those old arcade machines, like where like Street Fighter, the original Street Fighter machine, like you had to hit the buttons harder to do like harder attacks, so you're like slamming on these like rubber buttons. It's so dumb and it's so nostalgic for anybody who played those arcade machines back then or like ever since then. And so, yeah, I think this show is going to blow up when it gets to Netflix and like some of like the old like retro gaming crowd hears about this. And yeah, it's just so well done. And like the little like emotional arc between the characters is actually really nicely done, which I did not expect. The animation is kind of like CG and is a little stilted, but I still think it works pretty well. It doesn't look terrible in any way. Like I've completely gotten used to it, and I just love the show regardless of that. So
I agree with everything you just said, and that's what I did love in the manga.
Yeah.
Up until I won't say it because it's potential spoilers, but if the anime does get there, let me know, Bcom.
Okay.
It just something happens, and I'm just like, fuck this show. I was like, fuck this manga after that point. So.
Yeah, I would say the first 3 episodes are such a good little capsule because like there's a time skip after that and a new character is introduced. But like I almost felt like if this was like a short anime or a short movie that was just it's a blonde girl. Yes.
Oh shit! That's quick.
Yeah, it's very quick. Yeah, it almost felt like the anime should end after episode 3. It was really interesting. It didn't feel rushed, though, I will say. It just felt like, man, this is like a nice, really short arc. It could almost be like a nice little like hour-long movie, and I would love it. But yeah, it's moving on from there. I'm curious about like the next arc of this thing. But yeah, we should move on to the last show we have to cover this season. Attack on Titan season 3.
Shit. It's a titan of a show.
Oh shit! It really is. It's an amazing show.
Let me grab this one. Okay, so I love to make fun of Aaron, but the fucking opening scene to season 3 was just like, you guys are making this way too fucking easy. Because we open with Aaron in such an Aaron way because he's suffering from a form of Titan erectile dysfunction and can't get, I quote, hard. I'm just like, guys, he can't get hard. I'm like,
went there.
Show you just hand me this so easily. Jesus Christ.
Well, before we get into the plot, I just want to talk about the OP because I love this new OP so much.
I don't like it at all.
Oh, really?
I'm okay with it.
They finally got away from the Linked Horizon stuff, which I didn't like in season 2's OP. And to me, this band sounds exactly like a Japanese Muse cover band. And I say that in a good way because I like Muse a lot. So it's got like that piano heavy, like rock style with like a really dynamic singer. And I really like this OP. It kind of feels like a little bit like a throwback to some like 90s OPs, like just like kind of more hopeful and like, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting visual stuff going on with it too. So it's probably my favorite OP since season 1 easily. And I don't know where it ranks amongst the season 1 OPs because those are both fantastic. But yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to get into the synopsis a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So starts off, Pastor Nick gets after Aaron's problems. Pastor Nick gets murdered, and Hanj figures out it was by the military police, who tortured him for information on the Reese family. Levi figures he never gave up any information because they had to remove all his fingernails, and basically the only way they ever get information is when they take off one fingernail. If they have to take off one and they still don't give it up, taking off the rest doesn't make them say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they've also figured out that somebody in the government is now actively moving, and they have to figure out who it is and who's moving against them. That's when Erwin gets a note to them informing them that all scout activity outside the walls has been ceased and there's canceled and they can't do it anymore, and that there's also military police on the way after them. Shortly after who'd he get that from? What was that commander's name? Erwin, yeah, sorry. Shortly after Erwin got this message out, he then got arrested himself.
Yeah.
But fortunately, our group got away in time as like the military police show up and start raiding the cabin they're in. And they decide to hold up in the Trost district until they figure out who their enemy really is. They end up using body doubles for Krista and Aaron, who end up getting captured very quickly. They trail them and capture the people that took the body doubles. One of the body doubles was like Armin, and like
he was getting felt up.
The captor was just feeling him up and shit, and Armin's like, and like even Mikasa was like, hey, we need to go in and bust in there. I don't think Armin's going to be the same again after this.
At first, I thought that was still Krista because I wasn't really paying close attention to what was happening. And I was like, oh my God, Attack on Titan, what are you doing? This is so messed up. And I was like, oh, it's Armin. It's still messed up, but it's kind of funny now.
Yeah. Okay. You bring that up. If you go and you look at the pick for my anime list, Christine's in the middle. You can easily mistake her for Armin.
Oh, easily. Yeah. Same
it's
eyes.
Crazy.
Like everything. Yeah.
So Levi ends up heading back to watch the wagon that actually has the two of Aaron and Christine. And then we just briefly find out that Levi used to live with a legendary murderer called Kenny the Ripper. Ooh, original.
Kenny the Ripper.
I like this guy.
I think he's ridiculous, but like in an amazing way. Like he just jumps
he, like,
into places.
Shows up. Yeah. He said right at the end of the episode, he shows up and kills the other two people with Levi, and then he goes after Levi. And that's how the first episode ended. You guys got thoughts on that one?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that they're after Historia and Aaron. Like we learned so much about them in season 2. We know Aaron's like the coordinate, and we know that Historia obviously is like the true heir probably to the royal family. And
Correct.
So they've clearly figured out that like they've learned this information maybe from Pastor Nick, maybe from somebody else. And like, they're doing everything they can to cover it up now. So it's interesting.
And they talk later about how they've done this before. Like people find out information and they just cover it up however they have to do it, right? Like the government.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting shift for the series as a whole, because you've gone from they're going out and like attacking Titans to now there's all these factions within the city, and they're not even messing around with Titans really. They're like hiding from other people and everything. Yeah. So it is a very noticeable shift in what the anime is doing as a whole. It's a lot darker than any of the previous seasons, I would say.
One other shift is that Levi is finally like a big main character again, which he really wasn't for all of season 2, which a lot of people were upset about. But
well, like, a lot of female people.
As soon as he comes back, like Aaron is like just has like PTSD of getting scolded for not like being the best like maid, like cleaning like the freaking cabin they're staying in. And like he's right though, because like Levi comes back, like rubs his finger under the table. He's like, I thought I know I gave you enough time to clean this place. And they're all like horrified about like what will happen, but they have to move, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but also who checks the underside of the table? I mean, come on.
Seriously. He's ridiculous.
So, yeah, speaking of Levi being the main character, he basically gets a 15-minute spotlight that is basically a 15-minute Matrix scene, action scene.
It's fucking awesome.
It's insane.
It is.
So anyways, Kenny's got his own like squad of like elites that he's obviously trained, and they go after Levi, and it's the giant action scene. At one point, Levi finally gets the upper hand for a minute when he takes Kenny out of the fight just momentarily. That's when he ends up killing a few of his lackeys and whatnot. And he finally gets back with the rest of his squad. And they go after the cart with Krista and Aaron, or Historia and Aaron, whoever you call her. But the big thing is Levi's squad is struggling with killing humans, and it's holding some of them back. And of all people, it's Armin who has to shoot one of them to save Jean's life. Kenny's group does manage to get away with the two. And of course, Armin killing somebody, like, he's puking and like he's asking Mikasa like, was it like this for you the first time you did it? And then like Levi has to give him the speech, you're like, you did it to save Jean's life, not to kill, somebody, something like that.
Yeah.
Embrace the new you, he says.
Yeah. So they end up questioning the Reeves guy, who was kind of the one who captured them. And what basically happened was the military police forced him to do it. And Reeves' big thing is he runs a giant company. He almost has a monopoly over everything, but he's doing it like in a very positive fashion. Like he's making sure people have jobs, people have things to do.
Well, he's also a crook, though. Like he does do positive things for the community, but he's also a crook because like he's the one who blocked
like a mafia don or something.
He's the one who blocked that
like
entrance in the like last season or the season before that even, and like almost killed all those people because he's a fucking idiot.
He's also the reason the Tross district hasn't just fallen in complete chaos yet.
I'm not saying he's evil. I'm just saying he's not like a saint either. Okay.
Yeah, he'll do things. If it's more advantageous towards him, he'll do it. But I think thinking it was like a Don or something like that's probably a pretty good call there, Bcom. But Reeves decides to work with them, and they end up capturing the two who killed Nick, and like they torture one of them, and it's like, what's her name, Hange? Hange and Levi, and like they're being really psychotic about it.
They really are.
But the guy is like not talking. So what they do is they set it up that his partner gave everything away, and what they do is force him to basically read a script saying like, oh, the other guy was an idiot, nobody liked him and everything like that. So then the other guy finally, he's just like, despite him, tells them what they want to know, and the big reveal is that Reese is the true heir to the throne. But then later on, Reeves also gets killed by Kenny and his son. Just by Kenny. But his son ended up seeing the whole thing, but he hasn't revealed it to them yet. And then like the very final scene is Historia and Aaron have been brought to Historia's father, who's like holding her and apologizing to her. He's like, I'm so sorry about this. And then I'd like to quickly note, this is where I actually kind of left off in the manga, was Reeves being killed. So I knew the Historia thing, her being the heir, like the whole time, but from this point on, I'm in the dark with the rest of us. So,
oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Kat, what do you think about this so far?
I think it's really dark. It's a lot, like I said, it's very different from the other two seasons so far. I'm enjoying it. I do think if anyone is trying to jump in at this point, that they need to at least watch the last few episodes of last season before it will help them a lot, because I just finished watching season 2 like a couple months ago, and I was still confused. Like it took me a minute. They jump in and they don't give you any recap, which personally I think is a weakness of an anime, because you should be able, if there's only a season in between, to kind of pick it up. Like you shouldn't have to.
Yeah, season 2 kind of added some political parties, but these first 2 episodes like really delved into it. So like that's why it's gotten kind of confusing.
Yeah,
that's part of the big thing.
It is confusing. You probably should watch the last few episodes of last season again, just to remind yourself, because like I don't consider myself an idiot, but I had problems with this. I was confused at first.
If you need a reminder, do that. But if you have not seen anything, you definitely need to go to the very beginning, I would say. Otherwise, you're going to miss a lot of stuff.
There's no way if you've not seen anything. I'm just saying, like, if you come into this thinking, I saw season 2 a couple months ago, I'll be fine. Like, that, it's not going to fly that way. You're going to be confused. But yeah, no. I like it as a whole. Okay, I will say, they have increased the budget for the animation of this anime yet again. I don't even know how that's possible, because season 2 was like well animated and season 1 was well animated. It is like god tier level now. Like
I couldn't believe how long that action scene went on with Levi and Kenny chasing him.
Oh, I know.
It was insane. Like with him, like them like flying through the air while the cart is going underneath, and like Levi is like going all over the fucking place, and it all looks fluid and good. And there's like a lot of like perspective shots as he's like sliding down rooftops. I was just like, are you I couldn't believe it kept going. I was like, I just kept like looking down at like a clock. I was like, are you serious? This is like minutes later. This scene is still going. Like usually when you get like Sakuga clips, they're like, I don't know, like 30 seconds long at the most, or like maybe a minute. This was like several minutes of really beautiful animated like action, and it was unbelievable.
Yes.
It was definitely a statement, I felt
even like the first image that comes up in the very first episode of the season, like it's an eye, and we were watching this in a watch party together, and all of us were like, oh shit, because it's so well animated that even just a picture of the eye, we're like, oh damn. Like
you see that beautiful eye and you're like, is this After the Rain? With studio, wrong show.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
Good.
It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm super excited to keep watching that.
Me too.
That brings us to a close, though. That is all of the anime airing this summer. So now we shall move on to the most important part, which is the vote.
Dun, 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 dun.
So this is the way the vote works for this podcast. Kat, Leo, and I are going to watch 10 shows together throughout this summer season. 4 of those shows are ones that we're going to come to consensus on right now that we all want to watch, like the most out of everything airing. And then each of us is going to get 2 shows that are our locks. And there's 2 different types of locks. The first lock is a soft lock. And what that means is that at least one other person on the podcast has to have it as like one of their top 15 anime of this season on the lists that we've made prior to this. Because like there'll still be a rotating reviewer for that show. So like at least one other person needs to be able to review it from week to week. So it's not like something that only one host is reviewing. Then there's the hard lock, which is one that like the host can choose this show and force everybody else to watch it no matter what. And like they will always review the show, but everybody else has to watch it and follow along. And we will try to use these picks for good and not slavery. So we may end up making mid-season cuts on certain shows, so we'll have that opportunity to switch things out if they go like way downhill. And yeah, if listeners like really want us to be covering something that we're not covering, like we always will pay attention to that if you contact us through Twitter or in the YouTube comments or wherever else you can find us. But yeah, one thing about this season is that Attack on Titan is really good. And it's also a really big fucking show, and we all want to watch it. So we just basically decided we're locking that in as like the first show, like because we just didn't want it to affect our voting, basically. Like so that doesn't disrupt the rest of the voting. Attack on Titan is the first lock, and so there will be 3 consensus shows. So I guess now it's time to talk about our top 15 anime. How did we do this last time? Did we read it like in reverse order from 15 to 1? I think that's how we did it.
Sure.
So Leo, why don't you go first?
I'll go first. So at number 15, yes, this is how much I hate everything else on this list between this one and number 10. I put My Hero Academia Season 3 as my number 15 spot because I just disliked everything else from the rest of the season.
And like you're saying, because like, yeah, you are not the biggest fan of My Hero Academia. Like, or you don't necessarily want to watch it anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it because I've already seen the material. And it's still very recent in my mind. Right. At number 14, I put Revue Starlight. 13, Happy Sugar Life. 12, Rent Tsukumogami. 11, Angels of Death. 10, Yuuna and the Haunted Hot Spring. From this point on, these were things that I actually kind of did enjoy. Number 9,
I almost
How Not to Summon a Demon Lord.
Disown you for putting that as 10, by the way. Yuuna and the Haunted Hot
but
Spring.
my list basically stopped at 9, and I was just like, well, what was there anything else I liked that I was at least enjoying? I was like, well, this one had boobies. Let's put that in there. So my number 8 was Chio School Road. 7, Homes of Kyoto. 6, Asobi Asobase. Number 5, Sirius the Jaeger. Number 4, Banana Fish. Number 3, Harukana Receive.
Wow, high.
I really like. I just
he
enjoyed
really likes
watching
those
the shit
tight
out of that show.
bikini bottoms. That's what he likes.
Hey, you got to keep the sand out. You're gonna get some serious chafing. Number 2, Angle Lomois, and at number 1, Cells at Work, which should have been obvious from my review. Bcom, what do you think?
Okay, so one caveat for my list is that I think High Score Girl would have been like top 3 on this list if I felt we could cover it. But like the subs are meme subs. Maybe we'll be able to cover it when it comes out on Netflix, but that's too bad. Okay, so starting from 15. At number 15, I have One Room second season because I would have so much fucking fun talking about that show.
It's actually kind of entertaining for you to retell that show because I just sit here and just keep shaking my head back and forth like, what are you watching?
It's so ridiculous. That's not a really serious choice. So number 14, I have Steins Gate Zero all the way down here because
why would you even have it there? I'm sorry.
Because like I know that show is going to do something interesting.
Do you know that though?
I think so. The visual novel got good reviews when it came out that it's based on. Like, there must be something in there, right? So, sure. I don't know. I'm going to keep watching it, but we don't need to cover it anymore, I don't feel like. 13, Happy Sugar Life, because of the edge and it's fun. 12, Hanebado. 11, Harukana Receive. And then here's the top 10. So I have at 10, My Hero Academia Season 3, which I think would still be interesting to follow. At number 9, Angomwa, Record of Mongol Invasion. At 8, Banana Fish. 7, Chio School Road. 6, Revue Starlight, which I'm really enjoying. At 5, Planet With. At 4, Free, Dive to the Future, Season 3, baby. At 3, Asobi Asobase. At 2, Sirius the Jaeger. And at 1, again, Cells at Work, because it's fucking great.
Your 4, 5, and 6 have me so fucking worried about what your locks are. So bad.
Oh, man. All right, so
Kat,
now it's my turn. Okay, so I've got at 15, Hanebado. 14, Chio School Road. 13, Harukana Receive. 12, Homes of Kyoto. 11, Happy Sugar Life, for the same reasons, because it's just so ridiculous. Then I've got
it'd be
top
fun
10.
to talk about. Yeah.
It would be, like, I know it's some bullshit, but like it would be something to talk about, I'll tell you. Okay, top 10. Asobi Asobase is 10. 9 is Revue Starlight. 8 is My Hero Academia. 7 is Planet With. 6 is We Rent Tsukumogami. 5 is Free. 4 is Angomwa. I'm going to say it the French way. 3 is Cells at Work. Yeah. 2 is Sirius the Jaeger. And 1 is Banana Fish.
All right. And I've heard that Angomwa is the correct pronunciation. Like, I looked at like the Japanese kanji, and it's like Anguromwa or something like that.
Anguromwa?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So that is how you're supposed to say it.
That's good.
Okay, so based on those 3 lists and some statistical calculations, our top 4 become Attack on Titan, of course, as we said, followed by Cells at Work,
yay,
and then Sirius the Jaeger, and Banana Fish at number 4. So that I really am happy with that top 4. I think that represents like basically the best shows of the season in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you're the only one who ranked Banana Fish so far away from the top 5. I mean,
yeah, and I still really like it. Like, I talked about how I had like some issues, but yeah, I mean, it's still something that will be very interesting to talk about, regardless. There's just a couple shows I liked more than it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I ranked it too low. But okay, it's locks time. So Leo, you have the first soft lock this time around.
All right. My first soft lock, I'm picking this one specifically because our first 4 shows are pretty serious, with maybe Cells at Work not being as serious. So I'm going to go with Asobi Asobase as my soft lock.
Okay.
See, I knew I could count on you. There you go. That's a solid pick.
I'm glad that show's making it too. It's so freaking good.
Yep.
All right, Kat, you were up next with a soft lock.
God damn you, Kat.
I'm going to pick Free as my soft lock because it's more sporty this season. There's less like relationship stuff. I think it'll be more competition based. You'll like it. It'll be fine.
I'm
like
really
pouting.
enjoying it. So yeah.
Yeah, Leo's pouting in the corner, but that's okay.
I have no idea what's going on, so it'll be interesting.
All right. That brings me to my first lock, which is Planet With. I really like this show. Leo, I know you don't like it that much, but I hope it turns around.
Yes! Oh my gosh.
I hope it turns around because I think it's one of the most interesting shows of the season, and it's just weird and out of nowhere, and if I'm wrong about it, we will drop it and replace it. So Leo, that brings us to the fated, the Jureku of locks, the hard lock. So let's see, what do you want to put up?
I am going to go with Harukana Receive because I'm trying to force Kat's hand on another show.
Oh no!
Oh, interesting. Oh man, there's strategy here. Let's just note that Leo has skipped over his number 2 anime of the season to lock his number 3 anime of the season.
You're putting pressure on me.
I'm using getting the selected to go first to my advantage the best I can.
You just don't want to cover Revue Starlight, and you think this is your way out. You're such a bitch. God damn it. Why did you do this? I feel like we should have dramatic music. I feel like we should have dramatic music in the background right now. Oh my god.
Maybe we will. Maybe if I care enough, we will.
Oh no, when did this turn into Hanebado? So intense.
Oh my god. Oh.
All right, so that leaves it up to Kat for the second hard block.
We need some Jeopardy music for Kat here.
Oh fuck. But the thing is, I don't want to cover that all the time. Like, that's not fair. God damn it.
Hey, I think next season you have to go first. So
I know.
Oh no, I think next season Kat goes last. I'm pretty sure.
Go last.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
I don't know. We can look. We'll have to figure it out.
Kat, I got your back. I feel like so. Just pick whatever you want.
Don't.
Well.
I feel like this is team talk.
Oh my god. I don't know. I feel like no. I'm gonna pick We Rent Tsukumogami because I like it, and I know neither of you like it, so fuck off.
See, Leo, you done fucked up.
I know. I didn't want to do what you wanted me to do, so stubbornly.
Well, Kat, you skipped your next in line also.
Well, I don't think you can complain about that, Leo, because you did it too. And what that means is that I get to hardlock Revue fucking Starlight. Woo!
I hate all 4 of your guys' fucking locks.
You should only blame yourself.
You are the one who tried to manipulate me. If you try to fucking manipulate me, I'm gonna stick my head in the sand.
If I
I'm so happy
put
right now.
Anglomoss as my hard lock, I would have been sad we weren't covering Harukana Receive. And I'm sad we're not covering
Anglomoss.
Well, I wanted to cover
Anglomoss,
but like I don't want to necessarily do it by myself. I was hoping someone would have it be their soft lock.
Change your soft lock.
Well, I'm not going to do it now. No.
It's not final. You still got time to change. The podcast is not over.
Listen, Leo,
man, this Google Doc has been locked down.
You made your bet. You laid in the bed. You have to deal with your choices, okay?
Okay, so anyways, if I would pick Anglomoss, you would pick we went Tsukugomi anyway, so I just fucking lose either way. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, she may have picked Revue Starlight or something. I don't know. I don't know what would happen. Leo, it's a mystery.
So apparently I'm going to be the bad guy this season because I'm going to fucking hate on everything.
Well,
you're going to be happy reviewing Harukana Receive, though. You're going to be very happy.
You'll like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got my 2 locks. These are the 2 locks I wanted. So I'm very happy. And with that, Leo, why don't you take us out and we can start getting going on this summer season with the next episode.
Fine. Everybody, thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube and all that fun stuff. So you can get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, and follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and other for updates as well. With that, we'll see everybody next time.
Bye. Such an angry boy.